Okay, we're ready to start today's city council meeting of May 28th. It is
52.
at 5:52. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Present.
Ms. Pacheco,
Present.
Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
Mr. Tumidor, absent, Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Madam Vice President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Okay. Let's move on to invocation.
Lord, we pray that you bless the mayor, city council members, and administration with your guidance and benefit of our city. Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Please face the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please read the meeting guidelines.
All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page.
Okay, presentations.
Personnel of the city's Parks and Recreation Department provide an update on programming of the Miami Marlins Youth Academy, as well as recognize the coaches and league teams.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. William Sanchez, 900 East 56th Street, Director of Parks and Community Engagement. We have a very special presentation tonight. We have a house, I believe, filled with baseball players and coaches. And one of the first directives the mayor gave Michael and myself when we came on board was to rebuild our baseball program. And what you guys are about to hear, we're going in that direction. And it's an honor to be here. We have Myrna Vaca, or the new director of the foundation, here. And she's going to say a couple words, and then we have a presentation, and then we'll open the floor up for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Will. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for inviting us here. On behalf of the Marlins Foundation, it's such a pleasure to present in front of the council and here in the beautiful city of Hialeah. And thank you so much to all of our parents and all of the kids who are here wearing our Marlins marks in the audience. I appreciate everyone's support. So,
Sorry, name and address for the record, please.
yes, Myrna Vaca and home address.
What address on that business? You can.
Address.
501 Marlins Way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. So we do have a presentation up and we can just kind of go through the slides, but I'm going to summarize what's up there. As you know, we have our Marlins Youth Academy at Babcock Park in Hialeah. And today what we wanted to present is a summary of the success that we've had for over 2 years. So our mission and this partnership with the city of Hialeah and the Parks and Recreation Department has been an example of what a private-public partnership should look like. We've capitalized on the green space. We've established a baseball academy and it's thriving. So our goal is to provide exceptional baseball instruction to these kids and then lower all of the barriers to accessing the sports. So we do it at a very, very minimal cost, and we provide everything to these kids and to those family, the equipment, the coaching, and the uniform. So this is really exciting. Part of this and part of our goal is to encourage not just the physical well-being, but a mental health well-being as well, as our coaches integrate positive messaging and mentorship throughout their coaching process in the academy and everything at Babcock Park. So yeah, we can move forward with the slide. So just our goals. Excellent. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the numbers. Over the past 2 years, we've seen 470 athletes go through our program. Over 50% of them are first-time baseball players. So these are new families that would otherwise not have access to the game. 85% of the athletes returned from the fall season to play again in the spring season. And we've had over 20 free clinic events at the park to date. And the clinic events vary. We do a lot of field days where we teach a lot of different skills to get these kids active, moving, and then have them not just learn correct baseball, but learn to just love the game. All right. So a few other things that I wanted to talk about. 75% of the games that we play through the academy and through our RBI are hosted here in the city of Hialeah. We have 31 games in our RBI program. We have, of the families that go through our academy that's hosted at Babcock Park, 25 of those families also participate in our food distribution drive that we do both in the summer and then in Thanksgiving in November. 78% of our families reside in the city of Hialeah. Currently, we have 200, and this season we have 218 athletes, and 150 of them are in free or reduced lunch. Within this season, we have 107 first-time ball players. So these are 107 currently that this is their first time playing baseball. And then 78 families or children returned from previous season. So it's a program that's growing. It's a program that we want to continue to implement quality programming over the summer and throughout the year. So this is really exciting. We have 43 weeks of programming at Babcock Park, and we're very grateful for the support. This is an exemplary partnership, and that's the end. We're so excited, and thank you once again to our families that are here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
The chair.
You recognize?
So thank you. You guys have been great. I mean, the way you host us, excuse me, the way you ask your questions for our citizens all the time. They're seeing them asking questions and how can we participate, all types of ages. So thank you very much. By the way, I didn't recognize you guys without a hat. So thank you. Appreciate that. And as the mayor said, when we first got elected a couple of years ago, we wanted to bring baseball. And this is definitely one of the cornerstones for our city to start the baseball journey again. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I also would like to take a minute to introduce Shannon Johnson, who manages all of the coaches and all of the programming and schedules hundreds and hundreds of games throughout the season. She is a stellar athlete and an exemplary representative of the foundation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The whole team. You
Yeah.
know, the whole team's been great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. She's teaching me how to hit the ball too.
Through the chair. Through the chair. You guys are a testament. I know the Marlins has a reputation of having a very strong women's management there. I think Cindy Gracia might be the most powerful woman in baseball, right? In the upper management. So you guys, wow. And you guys are representing them well. Thank you for what you do
Thank you so
for
much.
us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
If I may, through the chair.
You recognize?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for the Marlins for having this partnership here with the city. I love your color jacket representing the team well. Is there any other feedback that us as a city should be doing? Is there any pointers or any weaknesses that we see that we should be building on? I know that we have a phenomenal parks team and they're always communicating. They're always welcoming feedback. So we aren't afraid of, if there's any obstacles, how we could manage that. I know that one of the fears that we had was that baseball is a competitive travel kind of sport. And we wanted to make that T-ball, what we call T-ball, that 5 to 6, a larger, growth. So then we could have them recurring and build up those skills. What would you say? I know that you said that there's about 218 athletes that are participating. What is the largest age group between that 5 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12? How many teams do we have that are competing within each of those age groups?
Yeah, I believe that's the 7 to 9 age group. That is the largest.
Okay.
And that is a strategy. You get them interested in the T-ball so then they continue to grow.
Right.
And then this program, unlike competitive travel, is meant to be more skills based and travel baseball is more expensive. So this is very cost effective.
So that age group, that 13 to 18, that's that competitive age group, about how many athletes are in that bracket, would you say?
Shannon, how much?
650 in the entire league.
Oh, so it's not 218.
Our
For the
younger
whole-
guys, sorry,
The
our
whole-
younger guys are in the 218.
You can-
but we
you-
have
You
our
can come
VF
to the mic, but
Yeah.
you have to say your name and address.
Yep, Shannon Johnson, 501 Marlins Way.
Thank you.
So we have our RBI programming. So
Mhm.
everything we do at Babcock Park is to fit ages 5 to 18 and serves as that pipeline. So once they start, we flip over those first-time ball players through our curriculum with Jackie Robinson's 9 values, and we're developing champions, like we call, on and off the field. So when they do get to that RBI, which is completely free league in high school,
Mhm.
they're playing, and that's our biggest age group at about 700 kids
Wonderful.
from over 91
So
zip
that's a big-
codes, and 30% of those games are played in Hialeah. So feedback, anything, we use Walker Park, Graham Park, we've used Sparks, and the Parks and Rec department has always been awesome.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Well, thank you, ladies. And I love to see 2 women representing the Marlins here with us today. So
Thank you. Yes, yes. Just to reiterate, the Parks and Recreation Department has been phenomenal, second to none. So we're very blessed to be working with them.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, we should acknowledge, again, the work of our park and rec folks. They were given a task. We wanted families to retake the parks. We wanted to hear what many of us grew up listening to is the ding of the bat and the kids having a good time and playing and the arguing and everything that comes with it. Because I think it's all part of creating a community, a solid community. I'm curious, in the audience, how many baseball players are there? Can they stand up? Where are the ball players at? Where are the ball players at? So I think I want to thank all of you kids for taking the time to verbalizing to your parents that you want to get out there and play baseball. I want to thank the parents also because I fully understand the sacrifice it requires to be at practice, to get the kids out there and make sure they're doing their homework first and doing the things that they need to do. I live it with my son in basketball. It's the same grind. We want our parks program to be your park programs. There once was a time in Hialeah where Corey League and HAA ruled the day in our parks, and those days sadly are not here. And thank you to the Marlins for the collaboration, the energizer in making these things happen. The bonds that you're building with our community, I know will last a lifetime. And the goal here, quite honestly, is to see this thing continue to grow. Let's create an apparatus that can mirror the competitive stuff, these so-called travel leagues, which I could attest to is a drain financially on parents that are spending money, in this case, on a pitching coach, on a batting coach, on a food coach, the whole 9 yards. Families just don't have the resources. Same thing's happening in soccer. Same thing's happening in basketball. So we need to find avenues so that our kids could play with other kids, build what we only learn in the athletic field, which is teamwork, camaraderie. These are life lessons that are going to serve these children long, long into the future. This is how you build a future council member, a future mayor, a future senator, by doing these kind of things. So, we're humbled, we're thankful, and we got to just keep building on this, right? So that this continues to work and grow on itself. We want to see parents step up being volunteer coaches, because that's when you really hit the sweet spot, when the parents are out there, the dads, the moms are participating as coaches, as mentors. And to me, this is why we're here to serve, is to help these kind of things move forward. So again, thank the Marlins and kudos to our park and rec folks from top to bottom. All these park rats that are now park employees, this is what they do all day long, is try to figure out how do we get our kids competing and playing and doing it in a safe way. So God bless all of you. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Yeah.
Through the chair, Would we get a photo with all the kids enough?
Yeah,
Is that
that's a
okay to
great
call
idea.
them up?
And I'd also like to take a moment to thank our coaches who are here and sitting on that corner there. Our awesome coaches who are out there in the sun. And love it. Thank you, coaches. All right, let's come up for a picture here.
Yes.
Beautiful.
They could come.
On the photo. No, the video. Wait, the video. No, not yet. That battery's warming up. Hold on.
Yeah. You saw what a pretty picture that is?
Ale.
Okay, let's continue the meeting.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Everybody's loud.
Pues ya sabes, bueno, aquí estoy para servir lo que sea.
We would like to continue today's meeting. Thank you. Before we continue, I would like to announce that Councilmember Tundidor is a father again. Okay, moving on to 6B from presentations.
Deborah Storks, the city's planning and zoning official, provides an update on the progress and activities completed to date for the 2050 master plan.
Hello, good afternoon. We are very proud to let you know that we reached a milestone with the master plan. We completed the existing conditions report. So now we will show you a video that shows what we have been doing for these last 7 months. And we already started planning the master plan, knowing the existing conditions. So if you can put, please, the video. Thank you. Yeah, and we are giving you a USB with the report itself, so you can review it, and all feedback is welcome. Well, I think that the video is self-explanatory. We went everywhere. We went to the city events. We organized the workshops. We did walking audits. We had transit day. So you will be able to review it in detail with what we just gave you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 6C.
Presentation of a certificate of appreciation to Celine Hutchins and Jasmine Martinez, members of the Youth Advisory Committee and high school graduates who will be pursuing their college degree for their service to the board.
If I may, through the chair.
You're recognized.
So I have had the privilege and honor of working closely with these two youths in our advisory board. And one of the most beautiful things that we have here is that we get to cultivate these students from a very early age and see their growth in our community and have them give back. So I don't think Celine is here. Has she made it? Okay, so Celine is a student that is going to be getting a scholarship from Jose Marti. She graduated, and she's getting a scholarship to Duke University. So amazing work that she's done. And our other student is Jasmine Martinez. Jasmine has, I mean, I don't have time to read you her biography, but Jasmine is getting a slew of scholarships. She's going to the University of Florida. She received an acknowledgement award from the superintendent from Univision. She received an award for golf. She's even an athlete. For her time of giving back of service and volunteer work in our community. As a very young girl, many of you have known her, not because she was on the youth advisory board, but because her family and her have been present in our community in many facets, whether it's the Jose Marti parade or whether it's being Miss Cuba here at Hialeah. She's won awards for beauty pageants. She has poise. She's eloquent. She's smart. She's a force to be reckoned with. And this is not going to be the last time we hear about Jasmine Martinez. This is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. And I know that the mayor is very proud of all of you. I know that the council members as well are very proud of you. And this is just a small token. I know you don't probably have any more space on your wall to hang up any more awards, but if you could make a little space for us here in the city of Hialeah, we'd greatly appreciate it. And we just want to acknowledge and give you a certificate of appreciation and recognizing you for everything that you've done for your community, for giving back. I know that you're one of the big volunteers that Zoe has at Kids in Action, right? And you prepare book bags every year, and you're here for everything, Jasmine. You're so special. We're so lucky to have you. God bless you. Is your mom here? Oh, wow. Your mom's not here? Wow. Okay. Well, come on up. I know that Mikey's here and he's going to take pictures, right? And if we could have the mayor and whoever else would like to come down to present this to Jasmine. Of course. He's not here by choice. He has the space for us. Of course, I know. You guys always give back.
You want to speak?
Hi, my name is Jasmine Martinez, 645 West, 73rd Place. So I would like to start by saying thank you so much to the city of Hialeah for doing everything that you have done for me. I was born and raised in the city of Hialeah, and since I was 7 years old, my family, my mom taught me the importance of civic engagement. She taught me that it's very important that if you are part of a community, that you are part of that community, and that you are present in every single event possible, that you are there always to lend a helping hand, because there truly are people within our community that are struggling, people that need help, people that are reaching out. And that's why it's very important that from a young age to start that civic engagement, to start giving back, because it shows how much you can do in the world. And so I'm very thankful for my family for inculcándome esos valores. And so from now, I'm going off to the University of Florida. And while this is a farewell for now, I will be coming back. So 4 years from now, you'll see me here in the city of Hialeah again with my bachelor's degree, ready to give back once more. So I truly am thankful for everything that the city has done for me and my family throughout all of these years. And I'm very happy to be born and raised in the city of Hialeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to comments and questions. Oh, wait, are you? Oh, she's not here.
We have one other that's.
Oh, okay.
So sticking with the theme of honoring Hialeah, residents of Hialeah that have done good. We were recently requested to do a proclamation for someone who is deserving, someone who came here with his family in 1961, is a graduate of Hialeah High, has had his children educated here in the city of Hialeah, has built his foundation here in the city of Hialeah. But at the same time, he's traveled the world and he's covered very dangerous places, not just the city council meetings, but he's also gone to places like Panama during the US invasion of Panama. He's witnessed Colombian drug wars and actually was him along with his colleague was targeted in a bomb that thankfully was not successful. He's been to places all over the United States. He's covered, like I said, difficult places. But all of it started here in the city of Hialeah. Now, many won't know him because he does not work in front of the camera. But he makes sure that all the images that you see through that lens is not only produced and prepared so for home consumption, but if he doesn't get the shot, then there is no story. And it all starts, like I said, here in Hialeah. So it'd be my honor if all of you would join me to honor someone's life work. Many of you would know him as a collaborator with Bernadette Pardo for many, many years in very difficult situations. But today we'll honor Carlos Corrales Day in the city of Hialeah. Thank you for always making me good. There's no single confession. So, pues, just para que sepan, por 24 horas, lo que queda de día, you're there to get out of jail for anything, but brother, no. I believe this to my boss. That's my ex-boss, that's not really. One more. Thank you. I will tell you one thing, Mayor. Some of those wars were less dangerous and some of you like. All right, thank you, Madam President.
Okay, we're moving on to comments and questions.
Our first registered speaker is Andre Gonzalez.
Hi, name and address for the record, please. Name and address for the record. Press the button of the mic.
My name is Andre Gonzalez. I live at 45 East 11th Street, Hialeah, Florida, 33010. Good afternoon, everybody. Basically, the reference will be animals and livestock. I believe that it is the Code of Ordinance is under Chapter 10, Sections 1 to 5. I would like to acknowledge this committee about increasing a number of roosters, chickens, chicks that are actually affecting dramatically our public health and safety. And this is being actually acknowledged to the City Hall since 2021, and nothing has been done since then. And you get to see it everywhere. I mean, doesn't matter, public, residential. I've been seeing like several, cases or type of accidents, and something needs to be done. No doubt about it. And I get to talk to several people, animal control, and nobody knows anything. There's no enforcement whatsoever. And last time that I spoke with somebody, they told me, Yeah, you know, Andre or Mr. Gonzalez, why don't you take a video or picture and send it over here? You know how long does it gonna take to actually take a video picture to actually find the source of a rooster with the entire family? That's very tough. So that's basically, I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, if I,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
if I may, I just wanted to make a comment for the gentleman. I understand, I know what you're talking about, the roosters, the chickens. I think that the most difficult part is the fact that they're not in one place. They're not stationary. They pass through my yard and they destroy the garden, but they're very difficult to pinpoint in one exact location. They're like all over the place. It's an invasion and it's certainly something that I think it's worthwhile looking into. Thank you for coming here and bringing this up.
Can I point something out?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I understand that your point of view, but the thing is that the rate that we have nowadays is super huge. I mean, if you send somebody around it, somebody with to catch those, he's gonna be crowded. The entire van is gonna be full. I mean, it's not like 5 years ago. I mean, now, I mean, you get to see them, so you don't actually need to find out. I mean, you just drive around and you're gonna pick them up. Simple as that.
Yes, but thank you. I think that's something that we definitely need to look into. Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you.
If I may, through the chair,
You recognize.
Mary, remember that we actually talked about this, I think about like 8 months ago. I think it was Miami Beach that's hired someone, Mr. Iguana, I think it was, and they started picking up all the invasive iguanas, and we said we were gonna do something about this. Is there something that we could put out and maybe have companies bid on it? Because it's not only the chickens and the roosters, I think that's also, but we also have around the canals, all those iguanas. I know that I helped a neighbor the other day, an elderly neighbor catch one that was terrorizing her. She couldn't get out of her house. It was terrible and I'm terrified of them. So, I mean, I know that we could mimic what kind of Miami Beach did. I know we had talked about it and we started looking at websites. I don't know if we could put something out there and get some bids.
Councilwoman, we could look at both items, the invasive iguanas, which will be basically running in circles, trying to capture them and eliminating them. And I would almost tell you the same thing with chickens. Historically, the city of Hialeah, if they could identify who the owners of the chickens and roosters are, they'll treat it as a code enforcement violation and put it on the owners of the rooster and chicken to eliminate the nuisance. The problem is, unfortunately, how do you identify who the owner of the rooster and the chicken are?
They have rings. They have rings. If-
Some
in-
do, but if
Then
you
they don't
walk-
belong to anybody. If you don't have a ring in the aviary world, if you're not ringed, you're free. It's like
Right.
a dog. You don't have a chain, you don't have.
So understand that in those kind of cases, we'll reach out to animal services of the county that would handle something like that. We don't have an animal services department in the city of Hialeah. That's a
Right.
county function. But I mean, we could look into it and we could, work with our folks to see how much can we, what
Enforce.
would it be? What would be the cost, for example, of iguanas? Is it per iguana? Is it
Right.
what? But it is unfortunate. It's not just a Hialeah issue.
No.
If you go to downtown Miami, you'll find roosters and chickens everywhere. If you go to Little Havana, if you go to Kendall, you'll find them. But obviously, we're concerned with Hialeah. But we'll see what we could put together. I know the council president has talked to me a lot about trying to figure out what do we do. But easier said than done.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I can tell you actively our code enforcers are going out there. When they do identify a house or anybody, they are being fined. I can tell you for the amount of phone calls I've been receiving, people get being fined. So there is a task force out there. The issue is she just said, bird's a bird. So rest assured, there is a group of us, code enforcers looking out. And usually when you see a chicken coop, yeah, but when you don't, you can't. Trust me, I have a rooster who wakes me up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning. I do. And so, yes, we're on it. And we're doing the best we can. We control right now. Okay. More to come in that.
Okay, next person.
Next registered speaker is Frank de la Paz.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Frank de la Paz, 1100 Southwest 104th Street. First and foremost, I don't like the idea of having to raise it to be able to speak my mind. But having said that, move on. I'm here and I understand everything. It's just that I'm not used to it. It's not Hialeah. The reason why I'm speaking in comments and questions is because I will not be able to speak in item PC 13 since it's first reading. But I still gonna give you my peace of mind on it. I don't think that somebody that has been disregarding city laws for at least 2011, laughing at code enforcement and doing whatever they feel like should be rewarded with a variance. I think that they should put their house in order first, clean up the code violations, the city to revisit how that business ended up there again without having to go to a change of use, establish a use, every other procedure that you take on the businessmen of this city, but much less get a variance for the sign that is not permissible and is not deserved. Signs on their prior location on West 12 and 37, they left at code enforcement with an illegal sign that corner since 2011. And then they move on to a better place and came in and put more illegal signs and code enforcement issue violations, and they just left. I think all those code enforcement issues should be dealt with first. The illegal activity stopped. Make sure he goes by the book, just like anybody else, and then consider if you want to reward it with a variance to do something that is not permissible in the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next person.
Lourdes Sifontes.
Hi, how are you? My name is Lourdes Sifontes, 1990 West 56th Street, Hialeah. Okay, the reason that I'm here is because I am concerned about the traffic impact that is going to have the new development that is going to be on West 49th Street and 16th Avenue. I would like to know what can be done. Have you guys taken into consideration the impact of the traffic?
That's the one
Has anyone done a study of it? Was this approved by the city
If I may,
transit
through the
department?
chair?
I'm asking.
You're right.
I don't know.
You have two minutes. I don't know if you want to use your minutes and then we could answer so you don't take up your time.
Well, anyway, I mean, you know, this is going to have a big impact on the traffic, regular traffic, school buses, Matter Academy, Milam, a school. Right behind the mall, there is Airport Village Retirement Community. There's a very small street there, and there's always in and out ambulance, fire department, all the buses from Leon Medical Center, all the things. All this is going to be a chaos there. If you go on in the morning, down going to West 20th Avenue, okay, everybody's going to work. You see the cars in line. And once they get to Macy's Mall right there, everybody goes in, okay, and it looks like a speedway. Everybody, you know, running to try to get to West 49th Street to see who's going to jump on the Palmetto or whatever the direction is, you know, wherever they're going. This is going to be chaos. I mean, catastrophic in that area.
Lana, you got it?
You know, I mean, I would like to know if this has been taken into consideration. I mean, you know, it's going to affect everyone. Everyone is alarmed. I know most of them people don't live here. They didn't come with me, but everyone that I have been mentioning to, they are, I mean, like, how are we going to get out of here? That's another thing. There's only one small fire department, one behind La Carreta Restaurant. For the amount of buildings, okay, that are around there, and also, okay, 815 apartment units. Let's say that is 2 automobiles per unit, 1,600 automobiles getting out at the same time between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning to trying to go to work, to school, or whatever destination is. I mean, imagine this. We don't have an exit. The Palmetto, it's right there. So now it's chaos. Can this be modified, do something? I mean, I don't understand. I would like to hear your input, your voice. I mean, I really.
If I may, through the chair, you're recognized.
Oh, and that's another thing. Also, I mean, do you think it's the water pressure in that area was all this taken into consideration? I just want to know.
Do you want me to answer for you?
Yeah, please. I know whoever, I don't know, okay, but I just want to know. What?
I don't know. Yeah. Whenever somebody comes and presents a project to the city or the city council, before it gets to a point that it could be even considered for approval, there are usually traffic concurrency plans that are done. There's work with Durham to make sure that the water allocations are available.
Mhm.
These things just don't happen with a snap of a finger. These
Mhm.
usually take years
Right.
in studying and development before it ever comes before a planning board to make a decision.
Mhm.
If the project created the chaos that you explained,
Mhm.
the developer wouldn't be building the project then, okay? But I'm not gonna get into a debate
Okay.
with you. I'm not
All
gonna
right.
get into.
I
debate with you,
understand.
Okay? These opportunities to come to planning and zoning meetings and to hear the project and all that, they're all available for the public to come, okay?
Okay.
I know that you've been prompted, but I want you to understand something. The city of Hialeah is in a very delicate situation
Mhm.
because in order to balance the ability for the city to continue to provide the service, which
Mhm.
is a multitude of services,
All right.
and maintain your taxes level, you own a home in the city of Hialeah?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so your taxes have basically stayed stable over the last 13 to 14 years. The millage rate has
Right, I
stayed stable,
understand.
okay? In order to maintain that, in order to be able to not have to turn to the voters and to the residents of the city of Hialeah and raise their taxes, the city needs to be able to work in this space to help accommodate this. And ultimately, they're going to end up paying more taxes, okay? And being able to continue to fulfill the obligations that we have of police, of fire, which for those that don't know, city is always challenged with the flight of police officers. Very difficult to maintain police officers. It's already hard enough to recruit,
Mhm.
but very difficult to maintain,
Mhm.
okay? That and amongst a whole bunch of other things.
Right,
okay?
I totally understand.
I know that progress sometimes is difficult. Change is difficult, no doubt about it. But the project would not be in front of the city council whenever it came before the city council for approval if it did not meet all the concurrency plans that it have to subscribe themselves to. But more importantly, if the project created the chaos that you're talking about, the developers who are not into the business of losing money would bring it.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that.
Through the chair.
Because honestly, I mean, you just have to look around and have common sense and look what's going on around there.
Okay.
As of now, I mean, the parents, they get off on West 49th Street on the exit and those kids, they jump basically on the ramp to
Okay.
go to school.
I'm sorry, but your 3 minutes are up. The council member
okay.
wants to
Sorry.
speak.
All right.
In the right, excuse me. One second.
He wants to speak.
So, and Calvo, please help me. I know you're educated on this. So there's called something the Right to Live Local Act by the state.
Uh-huh.
Live local, pretty much, if they didn't go through the city as far as going through our codes and ethics that we have built,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be able to build 1,000 apartments. So because of the Florida law, we can have some restrictions, but not that much restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more of a Florida issue
Mm-hmm.
as far as they can call the Florida. So in other words, we have I'm sorry. Yeah, so other words, the city, we can have laws that can regulate some of the safety issues there.
Mm-hmm.
We can have questions about our driving, of traffic. But as far as that land is going to be developed
Mm-hmm.
with the city or without the city,
Mm-hmm.
understand that.
Yeah, I understand.
Now, if they don't go through the city laws, they're going to be able to build 1,000 apartments or 1,100 apartments. So the way it is now, it's presenting as we move along, we're
Uh-huh.
in a much better place if we went through the other route. So understand that land
Uh-huh.
will be developed.
No, I understand, but I
No, no.
mean, there's any way to modify it and make it
Yes.
less or something like that? Because
So
I
as-
mean, please, we live there.
So as the mayor has spoken, there's different parts of what we're going through right now. There's a traffic study, there's safety, a bunch of
Right.
stuff
Okay,
happening now.
no,
But
that item already passed.
Which
Sorry, yeah.
Reading already.
I'm just trying to hook up the pathway, but as you understand this right now, if going through the city regulations as we speak right now, is probably gonna end up with 850, what was it, 840 apartment?
815,
the-
right? Something, right?
If not, they can actually build 1,100 apartments
That's insane.
through the state that passed with Tallahassee. So understand the limitations that we have as a city right now.
Uh-huh.
Just, I mean, have I educated myself 1,000%? No, but I can tell you as much
Mhm.
more to the
So
conversation.
what do you think is gonna happen there? If they'll say
Thank God for
150?
the city that when you have the council, we're gonna regulate what's, what traffic, excuse me, what safety issues we're gonna do, but.
How are
technically-
people gonna get out of there?
Okay, they haven't closed the roads. That item already passed. What happens is when an item goes to planning and zoning, whoever wants to speak against it in favor of
Uh-huh,
it, you can
yes.
go there, and you also
When?
have the option to come here whenever they're gonna present it to planning and zoning.
Okay,
And you can also come here on
Yes.
second reading.
yes.
You would be able to speak your mind.
Yes, please, because I mean, I see something catastrophic happening there. I live
Yeah.
there. I know what I'm
True.
telling you.
Okay,
the
but
chair.
right now you're okay.
Okay.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
the 3 minutes are up.
all right, okay.
but
I would like
go ahead.
to speak on this item. It already passed. But talking about well, first of all, regarding the traffic issue, if I recall correctly, when the developer, Mr. Codina, came during first reading, he was asked about a traffic study, and he did say that a traffic study was not done. I do believe that such a large project warrants a traffic study, and I think it would put the residents at ease, at least to know that it's being done and that alternatives or other methods for the vehicles to enter and exit that area have been explored. And regarding the Live Local Act, that is true that if they go directly, through the state, that they can build and they can develop. What's interesting though is that to date, not one development has come to Hialeah through the Live Local Act because it would require a number of units to be affordable. And this 800 unit development is all luxury. So I guess it's not something attractive to the developer to bring it to Hialeah through Live Local. These are things that as government should keep in mind, and I'm sure it gives a lot of leverage to negotiate what can be built. But well, this is already gone through second reading. I have received many complaints from residents that said they were never made aware of what was going to be built. I would have liked to see, additional information being provided, more public awareness. The neighbors in the area have complained that they didn't receive any notice in the mail and they didn't see any of the orange signs. I'm just relaying the message. But like, again, yes, Live Local, they can build whatever they want, but it would be affordable. At least it would provide affordable housing. And at the very least, I do believe we should have a traffic study done for such a large development.
The restored zoning director, there was a very extensive traffic analysis done, and not only that the traffic analysis was done, we had our own consultant that reviewed it and asked for different improvements. So until it came before you, we did a lot of work before. So the traffic study is there, it's a public record. So anyone that wants to review it, they can look at it, and we'll see the iteration with our traffic consultant, and they will see all the results. And also regarding the notice, we have pictures of how the signs, the other signs were posted. We posted in the newspaper. We send to the 500 feet radius neighbors the notices. We have all that documented. So anyone that needs it, they are free to ask for it.
Yes, I'm only relaying the message, what the people in the area have said.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next.
Juan Santana?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Again, regarding, impact studies, regarding, again, nobody's prompting me to do this. I'm coming up here because I don't live that far from there. And I actually take 16th Avenue to get my house. And now I know in the future I'm not going to be able to because of the traffic in that area, but it's okay. Mayor, while you were a county commissioner, doing a little research, because to echo what Angelica was saying the last time regarding doing a census study. For the Brownsville area, you, through the county, you paid $400,000 to do a study when you were a county commissioner of that area. I don't understand why we can't do a citywide. There's so many people influx. Sir, I have 2
I
minutes.
didn't pay for anything for.
The county-
Brownsville.
the
I didn't-
county.
But I didn't pay for
You
anything.
were representing.
I was on
you
the
were the
county
chair-
commission, but I did not pay for anything.
Well, again, you were there, you were the county commissioner, you were there, and I think it was Coral Gables Insider. There was a video you talking about it. I was listening to it because I was like, I just don't understand when we have huge impact areas that are gonna be 800 apartments, 1,000 apartments. And you know what? Everything in the name of progress is great. Everything in the name of the city of Hialeah getting tens of millions of dollars is great. But like you just said, we don't have enough police officers. We can't retain police officers. We can't even have the firefighters to report. I don't even want to get on the firefighters right now. But sir, the more people we have, the more people we have, the more people we have. And nobody's alarming. Nobody's setting the alarm on doing what? Having an actual impact study of certain areas. Okay, a lot of stuff was passed during COVID. I gave a letter to this council back then. A lot of you were not sitting up here. Nobody listened, and they were just passing it along. Another thing on the agenda, did the school sell or something? Because this is the last charter meeting, just to find out. Did we sell the school already, or the charter school? Was it sold?
That's in the process.
That's in the process. Okay, that's why it's the last meeting. Okay. Also, trying to tackle on this issue with affordable housing. Orlando just passed something regarding accessory dwelling units, and I just had a little short sidebar conversation with Deborah about it. Why don't we do a program like that for the residents that have amplage parcel, for them to start building secondary units and charging a low impact, not the amount that you put on there when you first came in, a low impact fee, for that to happen citywide. And of course, we need to allocate more money to pay these police officers to stay. That's just something I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You ready? Next person.
Did anyone else register?
Leonardo Acosta.
Okay. If no one else at the end, can I speak even if I didn't register?
She can speak.
I'll wait till everybody speaks.
Hello, Leonardo Costa, 7665 West 12th Avenue. I'm the pastor of our local church of Iglesia de Dios. We are a church that has been founded for 138 years, and we're international. And as well as that, we are we're just about 115 years in the mission world. And I'm talking today against the PZ 11 and PC 12. Why? Besides the fact that we visited the local residents, we have found some discrepancies that are going to be affecting the streets. Number one is going to be privacy against the adjacent homes, because it's going to be a third floor building. Also, the traffic is going to increase. There's going to be a shortage, according to all the plans that they showed. There's going to be shortage of public parking. Also, there's going to be depreciation on the homes that are right around the neighborhood. Also, it's going to be contaminating and polluting the neighborhood during the demolition of the church building, and also during the construction. If you see those streets, which is down the street from here, you're going to see those streets are very narrow. So there's nowhere to increase or go other ways. And on top of that, they have these three buildings, this three-story building with 488 square footage to 600 square feet, studios or efficiencies. I don't know how they want to call it. First floor is going to be business. So this thing is just going to be contaminating even more. We are against the demolition of the church. The church building represents hope, healing, and salvation for the community. That church building is what is a place of prayer This things is for healing of the mind, the soul, and the spirit. No doctors can reach there. No one can reach that. It's intangible. The only one that could reach in there is Almighty God. God has all of us. We all have, the breath of life, which God gives us. But the only thing is that if we demolish this building, we're losing the hope for the county. We're losing the hope for the city, for the community. There isn't going to be enough hope for the community. If these buildings are so small, who are you going to be, who's going to be living in there? A woman or a man or a couple? And there's only one parking per person? But we'd rather have that we'd rather demolish the church and have that instead of having a church that is going to go around the community to help, because you guys serve and so do we. We serve, our service is constantly and is throughout 24/7. And I thank you because my time is over. God bless you.
Thank you. Next person.
Jose Ozzie.
If I may through the chair,
You recognize.
I think for the record, we need to reflect that also the last resident, the pastor, also might have wanted to include LU1, because I think those three are together, just for the record.
I'm sorry, I wanted, through the chair, just wanted to comment on the item that the pastor spoke about. I'm seeing that we have, we're rezoning or approving a lot of these changes to allow for half the parking that was originally required. My question is, since this is something that's happening citywide and it's such a widespread practice now, so frequent, there's going to be a very difficult parking issue. There's 26, I'm seeing here, there were going 27 units.
Okay, but
With
we're not
only
on,
30
we're not
parking
in planning and zoning yet. I'm actually letting them speak, but they should actually come back on second reading to speak, but I'm allowing them to speak today. So the next person is Jose.
Jose Ozzie.
Good evening, Jose Alzi, 788 Southeast Park Drive. I first want to speak in defense of the chickens. I like chickens, and I think they add charm to the city, like in Key West. I don't know, I hope most residents like chickens like I do. So that's my talk there. I want to commend two departments. First, the risk management, which handles our insurance. I retired from the city 11 years ago, and that department doesn't get much recognition. But in the last 5 years, I just turned 60. I'm using my insurance more, and it's still there for me. 2 years ago, I was in the emergency room in Brazil, and Frank, the deputy director, took it upon himself to get me the paperwork. That was a scary experience. And now, like last month, I had a whole bunch of deductibles. I had a big problem, and the staff took it upon themselves. They personally took care of it. It was resolved. I want to assure every retired employee we still have great insurance. Okay, and the second department, I want to thank Chief Fuentes for allowing Scarlett Hernandez and Eddie Rodriguez to go to the Blanche Morton Center. I've talked before about the Blanche Morton Center. It's a $220 million department from Miami-Dade County for Human Services. We're one of the 16 areas that are designated as low income and high need. And there's a lot of, the history of that was, we used to have an employee there where we were well connected. When I worked in Parks and Recreation, we'd always send people there for services. Julio Rabina, to save money, the last employee we had there was Arnie Alonso, took the employee away, and now it's just Miami-Dade County employee, which they gotta be pushed, and they really don't care. They don't even live in the area. So it took us a whole year to get on the advisory board. They didn't have a quorum. They tried to do everything they can, but now we have 7 residents in the advisory board. And I think more is going to be happening and more, and I hopefully you get a chance. It's on East First Avenue, right across from the post office in the Goodyear. That they have a lot of services, and I want to thank again Scarlett Hernandez and Lieutenant Eddie Rodriguez went, and they got a hold of like the Veterans Affairs were there. That's if you know anybody, any veteran that needs help, that's where they go for the Veterans Affairs. If you don't have any new Americans that want to be citizens, want to vote, that's where they go. They have like food distributions. They have there's a huge department and we pay a lot of money in county taxes. I pay like 40%, no, half of my taxes go to the school. 1/4 to the city and 1/4, almost a fourth to the county. We pay a lot of money in county taxes. I'm just asking, if you get a chance, please visit that office, look at the condition. Hopefully, Mayor, you put a city of Hialeah employee, even 10 hours a week. So we connect the dog, keep what's going on there and bring back some of the service that we pay for. If anybody has any questions on the Blanche Bourne, hope I'll answer it.
Anyone have any questions? No? Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Okay, next person.
Carmen Montejo.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Carmen Montejo.
My
vivo
name is Carmen Montelvo,
en el 165 I de la 11 Street. Hialeah,
100 Southeast
de la 11 Street.
de la with 11th Street.
Esta es la tercera vez que estamos aquí
This is the third time that we are here
y seguimos diciendo lo mismo.
and we keep saying the same thing.
No queremos que quiten la iglesia
We do not want to
para hacer
remove
esos apartamentos.
we do not want to remove the church to create those apartments, to build those apartments.
Ya se entregaron las firmas de los vecinos que no pueden asistir porque están trabajando, pero que ninguno,
We have compiled signatures of residents around the area that are not able to make it.
ninguno está de acuerdo en que hagan eso.
Nobody's in favor of this project.
Cuando ustedes hacían campaña, acudían al vecindario de Hialeah,
When you would campaign, you would go to the neighbors and to the city.
tocaban nuestras puertas,
You would knock on doors.
los apoyamos,
We supported.
le dimos nuestros votos,
We gave you our votes.
por eso están ahí sentados ahí ahora representándonos a nosotros.
That's why you are all sitting there representing us.
Ajá. Ahora queremos su ayuda.
Now we need your help.
Los residentes de este vecindario no necesitamos,
The
lo
residents of this
necesitamos a
neighborhood,
ustedes. Porque
we
sin
need you.
ustedes, ¿a quién acudimos?
If not, who do we go to?
No queremos que hagan eso ahí porque el tráfico va a ser horrible como lo
We
dijo
do
la
not
señora
want,
ahorita,
we do not
está
want this
pasando
project
ella.
there as the traffic would be horrific.
Ujú. No hay parqueo, no va a haber
There's-
donde parquearse.
There's no parking.
Y todos tenemos las mismas opiniones.
We
No,
all
de
have the
todo el
same
vecindario,
opinions.
nadie quiere que hagan eso ahí.
We all have the same opinions in the neighborhood and we all have the same opinion.
Es más importante la iglesia que un apartamento, porque si siguen haciendo
If
apartamentos y
a church is more
apartamentos,
important than an apartment,
¿por dónde vamos a salir de Hialeah?
by where would we
Cuando
exit in the
empiece a
city of Hialeah?
funcionar todo lo del hipódromo, ¿por dónde? Así que ayúdenos porque
Please help
confiamos
us.
en ustedes y son los
We
únicos que nos
believe
pueden
it.
ayudar. Y siempre nosotros, la ciudad de Hialeah ha sido, vaya, respetada, muy querida.
We've always respected
Y,
the city of
y todo el
Hialeah.
mundo quiere venir a parar aquí ahora, pero si siguen haciendo apartamentos, ¿dónde nos vamos a meter?
If buildings keep being built,
Sí.
where are we gonna go?
Muchas gracias
Thank you.
y espero que tomen en cuenta todas las opiniones.
Gracias.
Next person.
Christopher Monzon.
This thing on? All right. Good evening. My name is Christopher Monson. My residence is 7540 West 20th Avenue, Hialeah, Florida. Mayor, members of the council, I am here this evening to speak about the growth that is taking place in Hialeah, which I understand it is inevitable because so many people want to live in our wonderful city. Our city is a one-of-a-kind place. It is a unique place where families can live and grow. However, if we continue to build in the irresponsible manner that we are building, that is impacting the quality of life of the residents of this city, then that life that people seek here will be gone. And I understand that in the future, you will all be retired and living somewhere else, but the people that live here will have to bear that burden if they can afford to do so. Because unfortunately, as was just talked about with the Live Local Act and so on and so forth in Tallahassee, unfortunately, those guidelines aren't being abided by. People are being sold lies. And people deserve the truth and people deserve an honest government. And I believe we have that. I believe that can be done. I believe it is possible. And we can actually build in a manner that is affordable, in a manner that today can actually be accomplished. And in the next 20 years, and the next 30 years, so that our families and theirs can stay in Hialeah and don't have to move somewhere else because of the pricing out of our residents. Inflation is already through the roof, and Lord willing, we'll have Donald Trump reelected to the presidency now in November. But until that time, our economy is in shambles. People are hurting. Families are hurting. My family is hurting. And that is why I'm here to speak for every single one of our working class residents to tell you that we have to build in a manner that will keep our residents in. And yes, we can welcome other residents to come. We have to, because we're at the forefront of migration crisis. We're at the forefront of a situation that is unstoppable. We can't stop it. Nothing we can do will stop that, but we can build responsibly. We can maintain affordable taxes in Hialeah. We can maintain affordable rents in Hialeah. And I understand, Mayor, that we must do these things in order to keep that. But you're right, Mayor. We are in a very difficult and unique situation. You're absolutely right. And that's why we have to maintain that fine balance to keep the millage rates low, to keep the rents low, because taxes go into the rents. Taxes go into every aspect of our lives. And before we worry about other residents moving to Hialeah, let's take care of the residents we have, and let's keep our city great and affordable for those who live here today. Thank you very much and have a great evening. And God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you. Next person.
George Gatto.
George Gatto. This is Jorge Gatto. ¿Gato o galo?
Gatto.
Okay, next person then. What's the next person?
Omar Linares.
Omar Linares. Enrique, ¿cómo? Ujú.
You can take him a mic.
Oh, that one. Oh, it's microphone.
Muchas gracias. Mi nombre es Enrique Alfonso. Vivo en el 673 East de la 51 Street, Hialeah, Florida. Y para mí es un privilegio representar como pastor de muchos años de Hialeah.
For me, it's a privilege to represent the city as a pastor for many years.
Y tengo el privilegio de vivir en esta ciudad por 35 años.
A privilege to live in this wonderful city for 35 years.
Pastoreo la iglesia que está en la 12 y la 76,
I am a pastor on the church that's on 12 and
cerca de la
76.
comisionada. Y vengo a abogar por las iglesias.
I'm here to speak on the churches.
Para nosotros es muy traumático cuando nos destruyen una iglesia.
For us, it's very traumatic when a church is destroyed.
Hay un fenómeno en Estados Unidos.
There's a person in the United States.
No quiere que enseñemos en las escuelas la fe,
They don't want us to show the faith in the schools,
pero sí quiere que vayamos a las cárceles con Biblias.
but they do want us to go to jails with Bibles.
Nos gustaría mantener las iglesias
We would like to keep the churches
como foco de salvación.
like a font of salvation.
No podemos destruirlas.
We cannot destroy them.
Yo le pido a los comisionados, a la ciudad,
I asked the council
que escuchen nuestro clamor.
to please hear us.
Yo represento una de las pocas iglesias
I represent one of the very few churches
que reparte semanalmente de 200 a 300 cajas para las familias.
that donates on a weekly 200 to 300 food to the neighborhood.
Y hemos visto la necesidad
And we have seen the need
de lugares de fe,
of the places that need faith,
de lugares de ayudar a nuestros emigrantes.
places that need help for immigrants.
Ellos tienen miedo a veces.
They are scared.
Van a ir a una iglesia.
They go to a church.
Allí lo vamos a cuidar.
There we take care of them.
Dios no nos mandó solamente a ayudar al que tiene papeles.
We don't only help those that have papers.
Dios nos ayudó a servir a nuestros semejantes.
¿Puedes repetir, por favor?
Dios nos mandó a servir a nuestros semejantes.
God sent us to help others.
Mi padre tuvo un sueño.
My father had a dream.
Él murió hace 3 años en el COVID,
He passed away 3 years ago during COVID,
pero él ahorró por muchos años
but he saved for many years.
porque él quería dejar un legado a las próximas generaciones.
He wanted to leave a legacy to the next generation.
Hialeah es muy complicada.
Hialeah is very complicated.
Ya no hay lugares casi.
There's nowhere to go.
No hay iglesias
There's no churches
que se puedan construir nuevas.
that you can construct new churches.
No vamos a destruir las que tenemos.
We cannot destroy the ones we have.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Next person.
Omar Linares.
Venga para el micrófono.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Omar Linares.
My name is Omar Linares.
Estoy aquí.
Dirección.
Perdón. Vivo en el 175 West 19 Street.
I live in 175 West 57th Street,
El Cisco 33010.
33010.
Ok. El motivo mío aquí es
My motive here today is
referente al inspector Mulero.
in reference to Inspector Molero.
Fue a mi casa y me puso una multa de $250
He went to my house and placed a violation of $250
por haber parado por fracciones de quizás una hora a las 8 algo de la mañana,
for parking for about an hour, around 8:30 in the morning.
donde regresé del trabajo para tomarme una medicación, una
When I-
pastilla para la presión.
When I passed by my house to take a medication for my pressure.
So, cuando el señor llega a los 2 días
When the
Con otra
gentleman comes at the
notificación.
2 days with a notification,
a postearle en la cerca, yo salgo al encuentro y le cuestiono que frente a mi misma propiedad,
that in front of my
hay un
property,
carro
there's a car
donde él mismo para ponerme la segunda notificación en la cerca.
where he puts the second notification.
Y le pregunto, ¿alguien llamó o esto es
Did anyone call?
porque vine a tomarme una pastilla? Me dice, no. Nadie ha llamado.
I came home to drink my medication and no
Yo
one
vine
called.
para cumplir la ordenanza del señor alcalde.
That I came to
que
to
está
follow the ordinance
enforzando
for
la
the
ley.
mayor.
Y no estuve de acuerdo, vine a un hearing.
And I was not in favor of
Y
it, so I
el-
came to a hearing.
El magistrado Eugenio,
The special master,
de hecho, cuando yo le pregunto que
when I asked,
cómo es que me van a poner una multa por el simple hecho de venir a mi propiedad,
how are you gonna give me a violation for just coming to my own property?
me dice que no, que
He
no hay ningún inconveniente en que yo venga a mi propiedad con mi vehículo.
That there's no problem with
Es-
going home
según la
with
ordenanza,
my vehicle.
Está inscrito como categoría 2.
According to the ordinance, it's category 2.
La ordenanza dice que los vehículos 20 pies de largo,
The
menos
ordinance
8
states that 20 feet of length and 8 of height
y menos 8 pies de altura entran a la categoría 2
it enters in the category number 2.
y es aceptable parquearlo en la casa.
And it's acceptable to park in the house.
Pero de hecho, la ordenanza dice no parking overnight vehículos comerciales.
But on the ordinance, it states no overnight parking for commercial vehicles.
Yo traigo a hearing la carta donde yo parqueo mi vehículo. Tengo 2 lugares para parquearlo.
I brought my letter where it shows where I park my vehicle. I have 2 spaces where I do,
La cual tengo aquí donde
which I
dice
have
que
here,
yo parqueo una marina en Miami, en South River Drive.
where I also park in Miami South River Drive.
Le entrego la carta al magistrado
I gave the special master the letter
y de hecho la ignoró.
and he ignored it.
Le voy a dar unos minuticos más porque le están traduciendo, pero ya se le acabaron los 3 minutos. Pero continúe.
Ok. Entonces noté que el señor magistrado,
I noticed that the special master,
en su presentación como magistrado en
his presentation,
en este salón,
en-
su presentación fue que fue elegido por el señor alcalde
y que
That-
las decisiones que él tome de esta corte de aquel día van a ser apoyadas 100% por el señor alcalde. Y lo cual yo tuve que pagar $400 de multa hoy porque perdí el hearing todavía.
which I also had to pay $400 because I lost the hearing.
Y no estoy de acuerdo que tengan una persona que no tenga los conocimientos, porque de hecho él tenía que haber parado la sesión en el caso mío y mandar la investigación. De hecho, no ha pasado. De hecho, aquí tengo
The hearing should have been
muchísimas fotos,
stopped and sent an inspector to also look at the
muchísimas
within the
fotos
violation.
que fueron enviadas a la comisión, que deben de estar ahí, de equipos comerciales de verdad, tercera categoría.
Pictures I have
Están
of
todas.
other commercial vehicles parked
No veo que no pasa nada. Entonces yo digo, Jayalía tiene un apartheid.
and nothing
los
happens
ciudadanos.
to these vehicles.
Ok, el alcalde creo que quiere decirle algo.
No, me está retando a mí. Para que entiendas un poquito el proceso. Yo no participo en ese proceso que tú estás hablando. Aparte de eso, yo no soy el que paso las leyes.
No.
Las leyes la pone el consejo, el trabajo del alcalde es asegurarse que esas leyes se vayan a enforzar.
Correcto.
Yo no conozco los detalles particulares de tu caso. Me da un poquito sorpresa que la más que parqueaste un ratico y el inspector te cayó en ese momento, pero con mucho gusto puedes venir a mi oficina mañana y traerme todos los documentos que tú tengas y con mucho gusto mire el caso tuyo a ver si en el proceso te hicieron algún tipo de injusticia o no cumplieron la ley cuando te dieron la multa. Pero quiero simplemente aclarar algunas cositas porque la decisión del magistrado es final, para eso existe el magistrado. No es una decisión política, lo tienes que entender, no es una decisión política, no viene de mi parte. ¿Entendemos eso?
¿Y cómo él enfoca antes de entrar a la audiencia que mi nombre es fulano de tal? Tiene que estar en video, porque eso fue en este mismo podio. Yo fui elegido por el señor alcalde y cualquier decisión que yo tome en este caso va a ser apoyada por el señor alcalde.
Bueno, yo no sé por qué lo dice.
Muy
quizás-
mal enfoque.
¿Perdón?
Muy mal enfoque.
Bueno,
Lo que
no
da a
sé,
entender
no
es-
sé por qué lo dirá en toda honestidad.
A mi entender, perdone que le interrumpa, a mi entender, yo me llevé muy mala impresión de esto. Muy mala impresión porque si estamos criticando al comunismo porque tiene todos los poderes agarrados en su mano.
Cuidado, ok, pero cuidado,
estamos cayendo en lo
please,
mismo.
por favor.
Bueno,
No
ok.
me traiga el comunismo, por
Bueno,
favor.
ok, perfecto.
Por favor. Ok.
De hecho, yo hablé
Somos
con
una,
usted
primero que nada,
personalmente.
somos una ciudad de leyes.
Correcto.
Y el que está violando la ley
Eso espero.
tiene que entender
Sí,
que
sí.
hay unas consecuencias.
100%
No hay que
de
mezclar el
acuerdo.
comunismo.
No.
Con mucho gusto, si me traes el caso mañana, asegurarme que siguieron todos los protocolos normales y corrientes. Si se encarnaron en ti por otra razón, créeme que vas a tener que contestarme a mí, ¿ok?
De hecho,
Mañana me puedes venir a ver.
Sí, como no. ¿A qué hora? Usted me dice la hora, yo con mucho gusto.
Mark, coordina con él, please. Ok, gracias.
Vaya a ver al muchacho que le
Muchas
va a
gracias.
coordinar.
que tengan buenas tardes.
Gracias. Next person.
Baltasar Martín.
Baltasar Martín, ¿está? Okay, he's not here. Move on to the next one.
José Pacheco.
Good afternoon. My name is Jose Pacheco. 2155 West 52nd Street, Hialeah. Sorry about reading, but it's the way to organize my ideas. My name is Jose Pacheco. My family and I will have resided in the city for the Hialeah for over 30 years. I've been sitting in the city through many changes. Some I like it, others I don't. While it was true the city was progress at the point where it can be owns county, and we're losing the sense of the people and the community and made the city grow. We are here because the housing crisis demands more housing be built, but the drive around the city or take trains and the other lots of buildings going up. Why are they not part of the solution to our housing crisis? Because the developers and the building to make money and their business. We want them to be successful and prosper in all areas. They lease, but efficiency for the 600, that's affordable rent for the minimum wage worker. A church is already there. And yes, we're right. They're crazy and some not good people in the church, but they're also bad doctors, bad lawyers, bad car drivers, bad politicians. And yet we focus on those who are good and come to them when I need. A church promotes physical and mental health, procedural resource for the families in the needs becoming for strain local resources. A church looks out of the serve to the realm, not for profit, for the betterment of the community. If the city of Hialeah continue to lose the sense of the community, we will become another city with lots of buildings and high crime and unemployment rates. Our city is not mud and factories only. It's the community and the business world interested on the community. Let's keep on the balance, the church, the community, and everybody is welcome to work at the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
There's no one else registered to speak.
No one online either? Okay.
No one online.
Okay, thank you. Millie Herrera, 4341 East Days Lane. Last city council meeting, I presented everybody, and Marbelis, thank you, included a presentation that I did for you with a lot of ideas for the Westland Mall project. I wanted to clarify something. Lourdes was not prompted. In fact, it was Lourdes who reached out to me, very upset, for help. Lourdes and I went to high school together. We are both Hialeah girls of the same age. We know other people in Hialeah that went to school with us, others that graduated before, after. And we have a certain mentality of what our city represented and should represent. And like this gentleman spoke, there has to be a balance. And I wanted to mention this because she was not prompted. I reached out to Angelica for help. Angelica explained, people need to come to the meeting. I cannot discuss this. It has to be in the public forum. Lourdes came last week. Tundidor said, thank you. She left thinking the meeting was over. When I called her later, goes, oh, the meeting was over. Come back the following week. You can put your comment. She has some neighbors that are worried. I started getting calls. I don't like the thing where we have to register, but that's okay. I'm with Frank. This is, I want to explain that I did some research with property taxes, and I was explained how I'm trying to learn more, how the property value of what is projected will raise taxes even for publics. And possibly because there is a residential component for the condominiums that are up to half a block away, especially the ones right next to the canal. So yes, the taxes will go up. As the taxes go up, those businesses that are leased are going to have a rent increase. So yes, we have to be aware. Jackie, I have residents, I live 3 blocks from you. I have residents that voted for you that regret it. And they reaching out to me. I explained about the Live Local Act. They want help. They want you to stop what's happening on 25th. They don't want to come here. They don't want to put their name and their address. And they've asked me to tell you, please do something. This is crazy. I did some research when I ran for city council on police. I even called Kalia, spoke to a gentleman from Kalia. I never realized really what it takes, but a police, when you add everything, could cost up to $300,000. I'm going to bring you some data the next time I come because my minutes are up. But you need at least 24 police for every 10,000 residents. So while we are increasing the population, Chief Fuentes needs more police officers that he cannot afford.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Okay, so moving on to announcements and amendments, corrections to the agenda.
Items PZ 10 and 11B are postponed until the city council meeting on June 11th, 2024.
Board appointments.
Proposed resolution appointing Jaylene Perez to the Personnel Board of the City of Hialeah as the mayor's appointment for a term not exceeding 2 years and ending on December 9th, 2025.
Buenas tardes.
Un momentico.
Ya.
We already read it to the, let's take a vote and then I guess somebody else wanted to speak, but they didn't register, so. Okay, so pleasure of the board for,
¿Puedo hablar?
un momentico,
Ya, gracias.
que ya leyeron algo, vamos a tomar la votación, entonces lo
Ok,
tienen.
perdón.
So we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Zogby. Do we have a
Second.
second? We have a second by Councilmember Perez. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Diga, usted quería,
Mi nombre es Roberto Díaz.
My name is Robert Diaz.
Vivo en la 1720 West,
I live in 1720 West,
60 Street, apartamento 1, en Hialeah.
60th Street, apartment
1,
1
en Hialeah.
in Hialeah.
Señor alcalde, con mayor
Me-
respeto,
Mayor,
eh,
with all due respect,
yo voté por usted cuando se postuló para comisionado,
I voted for you when
voté por usted para cuando se presentó para alcalde,
I voted for you when you ran for
después que
mayor.
llegó al reino de los dioses del Olimpo. Nunca pude comunicarme con usted.
I've never been able to communicate with you.
Infinidad de ocasiones traté de comunicarme, fue imposible.
It's been impossible to
Ninguna
communicate.
puerta se abría.
No door would open.
Ahora vengo para plantear mi situación nuevamente.
Now I come to bring you my
Cuando
problem.
crearon en la ciudad de Hialeah, en la que es 60 Street, entre la 17, entre la 16
Between
y la
16
18,
and 18,
hicieron el alcantarillado, hicieron las aceras. La acera, la parte donde yo vivo, que hacia la parte sur,
they created the sidewalk, which is the
está
south part where I
frente
live.
prácticamente a lo que es el Mile Elementary.
It's right in front of where Milam Elementary is.
La calle es inclinada en esta forma.
The
Yo
street is
vivo
inclined.
desgraciadamente en esta parte de acá. Como
I
hicieron
live on the
las
lower
aceras por encima del nivel del parque, cuando llueve, mi parqueo se convierte en una piscina.
When it rains, my driveway is a pool.
Fui a hablar recientemente con el señor ingeniero Miguel Carrasco
I went to speak with the
Y
engineer
quedó-
Miguel Carrasco,
y quedó en avisarme para
And
buscar
he's-
una solución. Lo primero que me dijo
and
fue,
he stayed to give me a solution.
es un parqueo privado y es problema suyo.
It's a private property and it's your problem.
Bien. La otra situación,
The
Es
other
que-
situation is,
la ciudad de Hialeah está próxima al colapso.
it's almost in collapse.
No se está planificando nada.
Nothing is being planned.
Son edificios, edificios,
It's only
edificios.
buildings,
más
buildings and
población,
buildings.
Más población, más población. El
Mm.
tráfico es impresionante. Ya es una cosa que es imposible.
The
Lo que
traffic
yo me
is
tomaba 5
impossible.
minutos, ahora me tomo media hora.
What used to take me 6 minutes now takes me 30.
Yo no sé qué se va a hacer. Yo
I
llevo
don't know
viviendo
what's
acá
gonna be done.
por más de 36 años
For more than 36 years,
y sinceramente jamás he visto este caos.
and never I've seen this chaos.
Yo no sé qué van a hacer con los edificios y sinceramente
I don't
su
know
propósito,
what is gonna be done with the buildings.
su propósito es llegar al nivel de la población china
If
o la
the,
población de
if
la
the goal
India
is to get to the
van a lograr su
population of
objetivo.
China or India, you're gonna get to your goal.
¿Qué van a hacer con los servicios?
What are you gonna do with the
Escuelas,
service, the schools,
Hospitales,
the hospitals,
servicio de bomberos,
the
servicio,
firefighters,
todos los servicios habidos por haber, la policía.
all of the
Entonces,
services, the police officers?
atender a una cantidad de población va a ser quintuplicada o centuplicada, no sé. No sé la verdad lo que piensan hacer. Muchas gracias y que tengan buenas tardes.
Thank you and have a great night.
gracias. She wants to speak. Nombre y dirección para el record.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Nancy Reyes,
My name
Eh,
is Nancy Reyes,
185 East 11 Street, Hialeah.
185 East, 11th Street, Hialeah.
Esta es la tercera vez que yo vengo aquí
This is
a
the third time
participar
I
de
come.
este hearing. Siempre nos ha preocupado el problema de la iglesia.
It's always
En-
been our worry, the project of the church.
Pero antes que eso, yo quiero hablar un momento. Explicáis una cosa que pasó en la semana, en el anterior hearing, a decirle
I would like to bring something up that happened the last hearing,
que el lawyer hizo ciertas llamadas
that
y
the
me dijo,
lawyer made certain calls
que yo no había contestado.
that I didn't, and he made a statement that I did not answer.
La razón por la que yo no contesté fue porque yo no estaba interesada en hacer ninguna negociación.
The reason I didn't answer is because I was not interested into making any deal.
Ninguna negociación, a menos que ellos me dieran
Only if,
que ellos me quisieran pagar
only if they wanted to
lo
pay
que va, el valor de mi casa,
the value of my house.
y quizás entonces podríamos llegar a un
And then
acuerdo.
maybe we could have
Eso
came to an
es el
agreement.
único. Por eso yo no quise perder mi tiempo ni que lo perdieran ellos tampoco. Esa fue la razón por la que yo no contesté el teléfono.
That is the reason I did not answer.
Entonces, mi otro asunto es que en el 2005, la
In
ciudad,
2005,
2005 se hizo, la ciudad de Hialeah hizo un proyecto que estuvimos de acuerdo,
the city of Hialeah
todos
was in
los ciudadanos
favor
que
of
vivimos en Hialeah de hace muchos años, usando los tax dollars nuestros
using our taxpayer dollars
para crear drenajes
to create drainage
solo para las calles de Hialeah.
only for the streets of Hialeah.
Ellos de que se crearon parqueos, espacios de parqueos y
Created
plantaron
parkings
bellos árboles. Solo
and beautiful trees
en
were
en las clases de Hialeah. Pusieron precioso toda esa parte de allí.
They
Pero
made that
déjeme
part
decirle
beautiful.
que todas esas plantas que se sembraron son pagadas mantenimiento por los propietarios de los.
All of that is being maintained by
Ahora
us.
creo que quieren destruirlo todo
Now I
cuando vayan a hacer el edificio que quieren hacer de tres.
Now everything wants to be destroyed with a new building.
Y
that wants to be
entonces eso
built.
lo van a dañar todo. Van a hacer nuevos parqueos allí y quieren dañar todo lo que se hizo. Habiendo
Now
hecho
everything
eso,
wants to be ruined for everything that was built.
nuestros taxes de los propietarios que resolvimos hacer esas cosas bellas allí. Ahora
Their
lo quieren
taxpayer
tumbar
dollars.
para que ellos puedan parquearse la otra gente que no tiene parqueo.
So that
Ese
other
es
people can park where
nuestro-
they don't have parking.
Eso es lo que nosotros queremos venir a darle aquí a ustedes, que todo eso,
That's why we are here.
perdonen, no hay, no hay parqueos. Entonces,
no parking.
entonces nosotros no estamos de acuerdo en que tumben eso ahí en la 11 de calle de ahí.
We're not in,
Muchísimas
we
gracias
don't agree
por su
with,
atención.
Usted
we
dijo
don't agree with
East.
the 11th Street.
¿Usted dijo East o West? Señora, East. Usted vive en el East, ¿no?
Yo vivo en el 11 del East, primera 185 East, 11 Street.
Gracias. Gracias.
A menos de una cuadra de la iglesia.
Through the
Gracias.
chair, if I may.
Your Reverence.
I just wanted to thank everybody that came here to speak, all the residents. Quería darle las gracias a todos los residentes que han venido aquí a hablar, a presentar sus ideas, sus quejas, sus opiniones. Y me da mucha alegría ver esta sala llena de personas. Les insto a que continúen viniendo aquí y les recuerdo que todos los que estamos aquí, tanto el alcalde como los concejales, no somos la autoridad, somos sus empleados, trabajamos para ustedes y queremos saber qué es lo que le afecta, qué es lo que le preocupa para cada día trabajar y mejorar las condiciones de vida para todas. Sigan viniendo, por favor. Muchas gracias.
Through the chair, if I may.
You're recognized.
Y es verdad, estamos muy felices que están aquí dando su inquietud y hablando. Tuvimos un debate de cambiar la hora porque empezamos ahora más temprano y ahora hay más personas aquí a las 5:30 que cuando empezamos a las 7. Eso quiere decir que es un buen cambio, que las personas pueden venir, todavía pueden ir a casa, comer, bañarse y todavía estar en la casa. Eso es bueno que tenemos aquí sus opiniones y ver diferentes representantes de nuestra comunidad. Estamos muy felices. Gracias.
Es que, no, es que ella habló los 3 minutos y es 3 minutos por persona. Es que por abogado. Es que mira,
Sí, yo sé.
de la forma que se hace es 3 minutos por persona. Nadie está supuesto a mirar para atrás a explicar.
Perdónenme. El problema es el siguiente. ¿Por
Tiene
qué
que volverme a
no
decir el nombre y el
Roberto
apellido.
Díaz, 1720 West, 60 Street, apartamento 1.
Robert Diaz,
1720
1720 West,
60 Street.
70th Street, Apartment 1, Hialeah.
Trate de hacérmelo lo más breve posible porque
Bien,
eso es lo
breve.
que hace.
¿Por
Sí.
qué no se puede llevar a votación cuando se va a hacer un proyecto? Para
Why,
que la población
Why can't le voy a explicar. Cuando viene un proyecto, viene primero por planning and zoning, antes de venir a nosotros aquí. Y las personas pueden ir ahí y explicar y decir si están en contra o dar sus opiniones. Y después pueden volver a venir aquí cuando viene frente a nosotros y pueden expresarse en segunda lectura.
Pero eso no pueden hacerlo en volantes, no sé.
No, ellos ponen en el lugar, ponen un panfleto grande así, un cartel grande y mandan carteles a la casa.
Y corazón, yo para venir acá tuve que dejar a mi señora que está en una silla de ruedas, enferma, y está sola.
Okay.
Bueno, muchas gracias.
Gracias. Okay, now we're moving on to consent agenda. Will anyone like to pull an item?
Yes, I would.
I second.
Oh, it was,
Somebody motioned.
so we have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez. You pulled an item?
Yes.
Okay, which one was it?
M.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by
Oh,
Councilmember.
Monica, you did this.
Oh, you said, you second? So we have a second by Councilmember Perez.
Mr. Zosby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except item M.
Okay, item M.
Proposed resolution reappointing Eugene Steinfeld as special master to conduct administrative hearings on code violations for the city of Hialeah, Florida, pursuant to the code enforcement procedures set forth in chapter 22, article 3 of the Hialeah Code, assume all powers authorized by Hialeah Code section 22-186 subsection K, and serve a term commencing on June 1st, 2024, and ending on May 31st, 2025, at an hourly rate to be established by administrative order of the mayor and providing for an effective date.
Councilwoman, you're recognized.
Yes, I have been made aware, informed by numerous residents that they contact me and they have been they're very upset. They allege that there has been a breach in due process. They're not permitted to adequately defend their case, especially when they're not represented by attorneys. There have been many complaints that involve the individual that Eugene Steinfeld. And one of the concerns that I have is that residents, they don't have any process to file a grievance, or they don't know how to file a grievance, and they're complaining that this individual has treated them with disrespect. I find it very alarming that anyone should have to walk out of City Hall feeling upset, in tears, especially senior citizens that have complained of being offended and insulted. So I would like for, the reappointment of this person to reevaluate it and their performance. Are there any performance evaluations that are being done? There's no reason why residents should be treated as if they've committed a crime, as criminals, when they attend these hearings. And that is a complaint that is very frequent, and it's not they're not isolated. At almost every hearing, people complain that they're being mistreated.
Through the chair, if I may respond. I think Gene Steinfeld, I am not questioning anything that any elected official is saying. I will place on the record that Gene Steinfeld is a very renowned attorney who has been a magistrate and continues to be a magistrate in numerous cities in South Florida and is very highly regarded. What I would suggest, if these accusations are going to be leveled at him, that it be done in person and that he be asked to come before the council as opposed to saying things in his absence.
That is a good recommendation. I wasn't exactly sure how to present this. I am just speaking on behalf of the Hialeah residents. Many of them do not, there are language barriers. They're a bit fearful. They are already, they have a lot of anxiety because they're involved in this type of proceeding. So I would like to provide them with direction and instruction. Is there any formal grievance procedure that they can follow?
Well, what Florida law provides, the special magistrate serves a function. He listens to the facts, he listens to the evidence, and he makes a ruling. You are in violation, you're not. You have so many days to correct, you do not. And the procedure to be followed is prescribed by state law. You appeal it to the circuit court. If you're in disagreement, that includes the city, if the city's in disagreement. There is no grievance. It would be like, evaluating judges, unless there is a clear case of let's say, abusive behavior or insult or something like that. There is no procedure. I mean, he's an independent quasi judicial officer. And that's a system used in many different local agencies. So there is, I don't know, the procedure would depend on what the conduct is alleged. But if what I want to say is disagreement with a ruling is not a basis for a process. I mean, if there's other matters, but disagreement with a ruling is not a basis. Or everyone who lost in a court would want the judge reviewed in that case as well.
Of course, I agree with you. Disagreement is not a basis. It's just the method of addressing the residents is what concerns me in particular. So I put that out there.
To the chair.
You recognize?
Yeah, so I pulled this same item last year when it came up. It's on a yearly renewal. Back then it was Lorena was the city attorney. She gave a little bit of an unsatisfactory answer when I asked her, why we still have Mr. Steinfeld. It seems like he's been doing this a long time. I think the answer, if I remember correctly, that was given that day is that he's kind of just affordable. He's $150 an hour. He's just been doing it forever. And so we're just kind of just renewing him. And at that time I asked, if we could potentially look at some other options. Maybe Mr. Steinfeld is the best option and we should move forward. Or maybe there's somebody else out there that would be better. And so, the answer to that question that I got last time was, well, there's no more meetings between that date and June 1st, and his contract expires at the end of May. So we just had to renew it. And so what was said last year was that when this item came up this year now, we would, be presented with a different process when it came to picking our special master. So again, we find ourselves in the same place. It seems like it's almost like a habit that we're moving forward with Mr. Steinfeld. I just want to ensure that as we make this decision.
Well, he is a renowned special, I'm sorry. That's why I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, to my colleagues on the council, I just want to, if there's a potential that we can maybe push this off one meeting and maybe look at some other resumes or what have you, maybe Mr. Steinfeld is the best choice. I'd just like to be presented with some options, moving forward.
Yeah, through the chair. So that would be the decision of the council to request that the administration. So, I don't know that the city, again, I can't speak for code enforcement. As far as I know, they're not here and I am not in code enforcement. Okay. So, the city would have to gather some other resumes. Other attorneys would have to express an interest. But the other thing, just as I'm sure if someone was addressing you and making allegations about how you conduct a hearing, I just believe that fairness, equity, and due process requires that he be present and, these accusations leveled at him directly in the face so he could respond because.
Let me add, if I could, the job of the magistrate is to apply the law. That's their job. Their job is not to have a good bedside manner. Their job is not to, have sympathy. He may have sympathy, but his job is to apply the law. That's it. Unfortunately, when people come before the magistrate, it is never a good opportunity. It's never a good situation because they've been in violation. And Lord knows that the city of Hialeah historically has tried never to come down on its residents. But when it's unfortunate that they end up before the magistrate and it ends up here, okay? That magistrate's job is to simply apply the law. There'll be a code enforcement officer here. The resident that comes has ample opportunity to present their case, to defend themselves, to make a case why they're not in violation. It's really a black and white situation, okay? let's not make this a gray situation. This is not a political decision. This is basically a legal decision that residents encounter. The attorney's already described that there's ample opportunity for appeals. There are remedies for that. But understand that people that come before the magistrate already come here in a bad disposition, and chances are, more often than not, they're not going to walk out of here in a good mood because usually they are in violation. And with that, many of you on the city council have been reached out by residents, and all of you try best as you can. I did it as a councilman. I try to do it as a mayor now to help folks navigate these things to avoid having to come to the magistrate so that we could find solutions. We've all done it. We've bought people time. We all do it in a sense because we want to serve and help our residents. But let's just understand, by the time it gets to the magistrate and they have to stand here before the magistrate, they're at the end of the rope because they haven't fixed their violation or they have not cared to fix their violation. And yes, they're going to walk out of here. And the first thing that they're going to say is that they didn't get treated rightly, because the only rightly treatment is they abolish the violation, they take away, and you could go ahead and keep living with the illegal roof or whatever you have. So we could spin ourselves all we want. Okay. The job of the magistrate is not going to become political. We're not going to all of a sudden try to do something that goes against the law by using a different name or a different person as a magistrate. I would advise strongly against that. I really would. And I would just continue to stay the course. He's doing his job, which is all we ask him to do.
Motion to reappoint.
Oh, excuse me, before we proceed with the motion, I just wanted to add that we have the resolution to reappoint this individual, but we aren't presented with any options. Is that something that we're ever going to see, or we're ever going to have options to decide who to appoint, or it's just, whoever's put in front of us? That's it. It's either him or no one, and we cannot leave it vacant. So
Councilwoman, if I thought the magistrate was somehow or another violating his fiduciary responsibility to the law, or was doing something outside of the law to punish residents in the city of Hialeah, I'd be the first one, okay, to dismiss him. To the first person. All we ask of the magistrate is to follow the law, apply the law. That's it. And trust me, as I said earlier, anybody that comes before the special magistrate, it's an unfortunate situation, but there's no instruction given to the magistrate to come down on anybody. We do not want to politicize this position in any shape or form. All we ask is that they follow the law. That's what they've been doing for many, many years in the city of Hialeah.
Okay, you recognize.
Well, look, if we're not gonna do it this year, that's fine. The guy is like 75 years old though. So we will need to look for some other names, either next year, ideally would have been this year. But, I don't disagree with anything you said, Mayor. I think you're right. It isn't a political, it's totally quasi judicial role. It should be just about black and white following the law. I just like to be presented with other options. I mean, obviously this guy's at the end of his career, God bless him. I hope he enjoys retirement. But maybe it's time to change. And so this is the opportunity to consider other names. And I think we should have been afforded that opportunity. It's fine, we'll move past it. But let's, for next year, I think the council would be behooved to consider other names. Same thing I said last year.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Zogby. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
No.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay,
This
moving
is the
on
one-year term.
to administrative items.
11A, second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 62 entitled Parks and Recreation, amending Section 62-1 definitions and Section 62-2 intent to include prohibition of smoking cannabis, marijuana, or hemp products in all city parks, city recreational facilities, or city public buildings, and imposing penalties in violation of the prohibition, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading, so it's open for the public.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
So we approved this item on May 14th, and I humbly ask the city council to approve this item on second reading. So a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Perez. We have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Ms. Calderon.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, 11B is postponed. 11C.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 26 entitled Code of Ethic, Article 2, entitled City Officers and Employees of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, and in particular by amending Code Section 26-36 entitled Financial Disclosure to provide use of the Miami-Dade County Disclosure Form, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. Pleasure of the council.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Zogby and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
and Mr. Calvo is away. Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
11D.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 74, entitled Signs, Article 3, Regulations, Division 1, generally, Section 74-146, Prohibited Signs and Sign Devices, and creating Section 74-151, Additional Billboards, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for discussion. What's the pleasure of the council?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zogby, second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pacheco,
No.
Ms. Perez,
If you could give me 1 second, I'm just trying to ensure that there's something in this backup. If I could ask the attorney a question, please. The royalties or the percentage that the city would make off of this on a private property, this doesn't need to be included on this part of the ordinance?
No, let me answer the procedure of what you're saying. What you have before you today is legislation to allow facing the highway 2 additional billboards.
Right.
There's a separate agreement that provides a percentage of gross and certain other fees that the city will be paid. So this is simply, for lack of a better word, the legislation enabling it or allowing it. But it's not, they can't just go and put it up. They need a contract. That agreement, though, we have advised the
That's a separate
interested
document.
parties that can't be considered until the concept is allowed. In other
Right.
words, if the concept isn't allowed, there's an agreement that has financial terms and all that, which is available. Staff has it, and that will come later after a second reading if it comes to that.
Okay, there's a motion
and a second.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Ms. Garcia Robes. Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
11E.
Ma'am, if I can just record Councilmember Calvo's vote on item 11C, please.
Yes.
Thank you. 11E, first reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 4, entitled Purchasing and Competitive Bidding, Division 2, entitled Competitive Bidding Procedure as follows. By amendment to section 2-812 to prescribe current minimum bid amounts as set forth herein. By enactment of a new section 2-812.1 entitled Small Purchases, prescribing procurement procedures for purchases under $65,000 general and $100,000 construction. Enactment of a new section 2-812.2 entitled Unauthorized Purchases. Enactment of a new section 2-812.3 entitled Emergency Purchase Procedures, prescribing procedures for such purchases. Amending section 2-817 entitled Exception to Bid by adding additional exceptions, and the enactment of a new section 2-826 entitled Public-Private Partnerships, Unsolicited Proposals, setting forth definitions and procedures for public-private partnerships and unsolicited proposals, providing for no protests, providing for a limited bid publication waiver in certain instances, providing for intended, included, and excluded projects, providing for applicability period, providing for a severability clause, providing, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a penalty, providing for codification in the city code, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is also on first reading. What's the pleasure of the council? A motion by Councilmember Rodriguez,
Second.
a second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
Okay, 11F.
First reading of proposed ordinance accepting the dedication of land improved with a pump station of approximately 2,695 square feet, subject to and approving the terms of the special warranty deed attached as attachment 1 from RELP Beacon Logistics, a Delaware limited liability company, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's a pleasure of the council.
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Rodriguez,
Second.
second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I missed the motion in the second.
Motion by Councilmember Rodriguez, second by Councilmember Zogby.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
11G.
First reading of proposed ordinance accepting the dedication of land improved with a pump station of approximately 756 square feet, subject to and approving the terms of the special warranty deed attached as attachment 1 from Walt Beacon Logistics, a Delaware limited liability company, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. Pleasure of the council.
Triple motion.
Motion by Councilmember
Second.
Rodriguez, second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
Okay, 11H.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Land Development Code Regulation Number 7, Sign Regulations, Section 7-3, prohibited signs and sign devices, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties in violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, it's on first reading. Pleasure of the council.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Councilmember Rodriguez and second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
No.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
Okay, unfinished business. Okay, new business. We have 13A.
Update from the Planning and Zoning Division regarding the implementation of a shared parking policy for affordable housing developments.
Deborah Storch, Planning and Zoning Director. This is just a policy for the future. We are working on an affordable housing development regulations. We will be working in the month of July. Since there are no meetings, we will have more time. And what we want to present to you is the idea of shared parking, where you have some parking lots, for example, the churches that use the parking on the weekends, and then during the week, the parking is empty. So there are tables and there are things that can be used. So they different businesses, no businesses, but for example, a church with a proposed affordable housing development, they can share the parking on certain days. So that will give them, the developers affordable housing, some relief, because they won't need to build that much parking, and in that way they can build in a cheaper way and taking advantage of this. So for now, it's just a policy, so you can take advantage when someone comes and they are building, for example, a parking lot for a church or for a school. They can proffer that they are willing to participate in a pool that we have for future developments to be able to use that parking as shared parking.
Thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
You had something, Councilman Rodriguez?
Yeah, quickly. First of all, I want to make a comment to our directors. Just like the mayor said, the countless phone calls that I get before they reach the majesty and all, and the board of directors helping the residents go through those problems. I mean, countless of hundreds in the past year. Thank you. Appreciate your help. Sometimes you guys don't get a notice, but I just want to say thank you all in front of the public here. Thank you. By the way.
No. You were gonna say, okay, thank you.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Which one? You go.
Calvo.
All right, mine is short. Well, to my colleagues and to the mayor, I mean, I think like many of you, I was shocked and horrified last week to learn about the visits by members of the Cuban delegation, Cuban government, Cuban communist regime to the Miami International Airport to visit some very sensitive sites in TSA. Today when I was looking at through this agenda, and I'm glad that somebody mentioned it during public comment, we have a PZ ordinance here where we're dealing with a business, Cuba Max Travel. And, I just went on their website and they say it themselves about us. La mayor aspiración de Cuba Max Travel es contribuir a la unidad de la familia cubana, ser puente para la creación de lazos sólidos de amistad y solidaridad entre cubanos y otras nacionalidades, proporcionando a los visitantes todos los servicios necesarios para que su estadía en Cuba sea totalmente placentera. Atendemos a cubanos que desean visitar su país, a su familia y sus amigos, y a extranjeros que sueñen con conocer la isla y diversos grupos que por razones culturales, religiosas, científicas o académicas sientan en sí la necesidad de viajar a Cuba. So basically, to translate for the record, this business who's in the city of Hialeah, and today in P&Z, after we finish here, they're going to be asking the city of Hialeah to give them a bunch of concessions and variances and all sorts of things. They're directly on their website saying that they want people to have a pleasant journey when they travel to Cuba. They want foreigners to that dream with visiting the island to have a great time. And my ask here today to my colleagues and to the mayor, and I'm sure I can get your support on this, is number one, I think as the city of Hialeah, the largest Cuban population in the United States, who our southern border touches or almost touches Miami International Airport. Number one, we have to condemn what happened last week and what's happened a couple times where members of the Cuban government have penetrated very sensitive areas of our airport, Miami International Airport that we all use to travel within this region. And number two, to the extent, and look, I don't think the city of Hialeah does business with any company or any entity that affiliates with the Cuban government, but to the extent that we need to do our due diligence, I would like to have in the resolution to also prevent businesses like Cuba Max to even come before this board to the extent that that is possible within the confines of the law. They certainly should not be getting our business as a city, or moreover, they shouldn't be getting any concessions or any variances from our city. I mean, it's a disrespect that it's even on the agenda. And I understand that this might have been an oversight, so I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm just saying, moving forward, we need to make sure that this doesn't occur. You know, I'll have my own comments to make when this item comes up, and I'll be voting definitely against it. But to the extent that as a body, we can pass a resolution next meeting condemning what happened at Miami International last week, and making sure that we are not supporting any business that wants to affiliate themselves with this government, I think we should do so. And I would ask your support in bringing that resolution back next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Oh,
Yeah.
Councilman.
All right, there are two things that I want to quickly talk about. One of them is regarding planning and zoning meetings. I want to say this with the utmost respect, but it has to be addressed. Now, I would like to ask the city attorney or whoever is responsible for ensuring fair processes in our city. And to clarify, Ms. Deborah Storch is a professional and she's not involved in what I'm going to say, but please watch the meetings and make a determination for yourselves if the interactions between some individuals on the board meet the minimum standards of respect to our residents. I have been asked by several residents to view these meetings, and I have felt very, very embarrassed. I've had to apologize to them on behalf of the city. You know, some people have been offended, and some board members have given their personal opinions about certain people. Some people have even been accused of being criminals. I'm not going to go into specifics. I just want the city administration to please review these videos and to take the necessary actions to prevent this from happening in the future, so that the residents do not feel disrespected at any time. Even if the outcome is not favorable, they still have a right to be treated with respect and dignity. And that's all I'm asking for the residents. Now, you know, I really hope that this is taken into consideration and it's not just forgotten after this meeting is over. It's very important, and the people do continue to call me and tell me about it. I'm watching it, and I have given my word that I was going to speak up about this. So, you know, please look into it.
Anyone else have new business?
Yes, and I'm sorry, and one more item that I want to ask about the vacancy that's going to be left after our colleague Brian Calvo resigns. We have people that want to know if there's going to be a special election. Now, for my understanding, the city charter, the council would have to vote. So I would like to know what can we expect moving forward?
Okay, if the chair is looking to me, I'll just stick to the law, which is my lane. So basing it on the facts that I know about this, the resignation letter was effective November 1st. The state resigned to run law provides, and I quote, "The office is deemed vacant upon the effective date of the resignation submitted by the official in his or her letter of resignation." That date is November 1st. We have conferred with the county, and the seat would be deemed vacant on November 1st, not earlier than that. That's the answer.
All right, so we cannot request the seat to be put on the ballot before it's vacant?
No.
In my view, that would be in derogation of the clear language of the charter. The charter provides the acting council member. So I'll read the what it says here. Permanent vacancy resulting from death, resignation, recall, or court order or other lawful action. If a seat on the city council becomes permanently vacant by reason of death, resignation, recall, court order, or other lawful action, the vacancy shall be filled by appointment by resolution of a qualified elector who shall also satisfy the residency requirements for candidacy by an affirmative vote of at least 4 council members within 30 days of the occurrence of a vacancy. The appointee, who shall be known as the acting council member, shall exercise the authority of the office of the council member and shall perform the duties and assume the responsibilities of the office. The acting council member shall only fill that portion of the elected council member's term that precedes the next regularly scheduled municipal election or state or federal election for which there is sufficient, I'm going to emphasize, for which there is sufficient time to adopt a special election ordinance establishing qualifying periods and related provisions. If the city council does not fill the vacancy by appointment within the prescribed time, a special election shall be held at the earliest time permitted by law. Others here can speak to the deadlines that the county imposes in the elections department to have all that data and all, the needed information to them. Between November 1st and the election is simply insufficient time and it cannot be done. Thank you.
All right, so that's per the county, right? That's per or city.
That's per city resign to run law in the Florida statutes, 99.012 subsection E as in ear, 3F as in Frank. When the office is deemed vacant, that's not simply my opinion. I consulted with the county elections specialist, and it was my understanding that they agreed with that opinion. And under the charter, there's simply no time between November 1st and the next election to do all the things that I just read out to you. That's it.
To the chair. Not to enter into the legal technical debate. I mean, everybody can read the charter for themselves. But I think, the idea was to have the sufficient time was the 6 months starting now through November to allow enough time to create these ordinances. I researched with the Department of Elections, and their specific deadline is July 25th, I believe, where the city has until then to call for a special election in November. So clearly there's sufficient time. It's deemed effective November 1st, meaning that November 4th, when the election rolls around, which is the next regularly scheduled election, there could be an election on that date. Giving us sufficient time from here until now to prepare all the framework so that obviously in that 3-day turnaround, everything is already kicking in that has been agreed to during this time, which we have, and we're even taking a month off in July. Now, putting that aside, my understanding is there's nothing that prevents, even if November 4th is truly in fact too tight of a deadline, 6 months is too tight, there's nothing that prevents this council from agreeing to hold an election in December, or have an election in January, or have an election in February. So I think we need, food for thought. I think we need to be very mindful what the true sentiment of the council is. Do you want somebody to be appointed or elected? Look, obviously, I'm sorry for putting you guys in this position. It's my disposition to leave the council, and I apologize for leaving early. I took full ownership of that. However, for my 2 cents, and I'm here until November 1st, my 2 cents is I think this position should be elected to the extent that it is possible. If somebody has to be appointed for an interim period or what have you, that's understandable. If we have to, start working on these processes now to make an election available November 4th, to the extent that that's possible, we should do that. But I wouldn't like to see this position to be filled by somebody for a year period. Within the possibilities. Look, we spend a lot of money on a lot of things. And I think, this room today is testament that, people just want to have a say in who they're sitting up here. And I think, we can understand that this is a great country, a great democracy. To the extent that's possible, let's do it. I mean, let's have an election and, winner takes all, and, we'll see who wins. But going back, because I think it was lost, I did want to formally motion for that resolution for what I called upon. I think the city clerk already wrote it down on the record. Happy to repeat it if needed, but I would like to motion for that. Unless, of course, the mayor agrees to just put it on the agenda for next meeting as a resolution. Thank you.
I second that motion.
I don't know what else I can add. I think that would be in derogation of the charter. The charter already provides that the guidelines. is
There's
30
nothing else. There's
Okay.
nothing else.
I
to
don't know
add.
what else.
There's
I'll
nothing
be
else to
repeating
add.
myself.
There's nothing else to add. Councilman, I understand exactly where you're coming from. If that was your wishes, your resignation should have been done immediately, effective immediately. But the law is pretty clear. We're not going to violate the law or the charter. The vacancy, when it becomes vacant, that's when the council needs to act.
I just want to add one more thing. Well, the Councilman Calvo, he motioned, I seconded, and for my understanding, this is supposed to be voted on, but besides that, there's great concern among the residents, among the public, that they wouldn't like to see anyone appointed that would constitute a conflict of interest. No current city employee, no anyone that was previously employed or any family members. So please keep that in mind. And I say I would like to proceed with a vote on this item. And like I say, I second Brian's motion.
Okay, it's an
Excuse me,
improper.
wait.
Yes.
Do you even know what the motion that he just made was?
Yes.
What
of
was it?
course. That to hold a special election.
That's not what the motion he just made. That wasn't the motion at all. He just made a motion about something with regards to TSA and Cubans coming to visit TSA in our airport. That was his motion. You need to be clear on what you're seconding.
Right.
Yeah, just to the motion is for the issues with the TSA. I believe you wrote it already down. Issues with TSA last week, and also for the city to conduct an internal review and not allow businesses like Cuba Max to get any concessions from the city.
Does the city clerk need to read it into the record to be clear, or does it need to be repeated? Why don't you repeat it, Madam City Clerk?
Sure. So Councilmember Calvo is proposing for the direction to the law department to draft a resolution regarding the events of TSA and the delegates of Cuba at the Miami International Airport, as well as requesting that the city conduct a review of businesses like Cuba Max to assure that they don't get concessions from the city. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay,
So there's a second already, right? On that?
you're seconding?
No.
No.
Well, I second that motion too. Because the other one should have been a motion as well. I agree with both of them.
Ms. Garcia Robert,
Somebody got the
Yes.
motion.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to land use.
Go ahead. Mr. Mayor. Okay, I'm gonna go to the restroom for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Are you taking a break or are you going straight?
Well, all those persons will be testifying on an item. Please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do.
¿Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo? Por favor, diga que sí, si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
Okay, OU1.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from major institutions to medium density residential. Property located at 1098 East First Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Arbelis, do we have the presentation?
Sure, Melissa can put it up.
Good evening, council members. Alejandro Arias, offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm joined tonight by my colleagues Erica Adams and Hugo Arza, representing the applicant. Out of respect for your time this evening, this presentation will apply to zoning items PZ 11, PZ 12 as well. The subject property is approximately 0.46 acres located on a corner lot at the intersection of East 11th Street and East First Ave, within close proximity of Palm Avenue, a major city thoroughfare. Next slide, please. The site is currently improved with a 6,124 square foot religious institution, Iglesia Bautista Reformada de Miami, and the applicant is currently under contract with this church. Next slide, please. With respect to the as-built character of this neighborhood, this is not a single-family residential subdivision. This area is residential in nature with a multitude of duplex and 2- and 3-story multifamily buildings surrounding the property between East First Ave and East Palm Avenue. Next slide. The subject property has a current land use of major institutions and is zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential district. Prior to the religious institution use on the property, this site had a multifamily land use designation and currently has a multifamily zoning, which is R2. Next slide. Now we're here tonight with staff's favorable recommendation with the following requests to help realize this development. A land use amendment to redesignate the property to medium density residential, a rezoning from R2 to R31 in line with the sought land use, a special use permit to allow for the limited expansion of the neighborhood business district onto the property, minor non-use variances, and a release of an existing declaration which limits the use of the property as a religious institution. Next slide. In connection with the project and based on the neighbor feedback and concerns expressed during the planning and zoning board hearing process, we went to the planning and zoning hearing process once. We deferred the item in order to reach out and discuss with any neighbors who would have an open ear to anything we would say. Those who were responsive, we understood their concerns. As privacy was a major concern by the abutting neighbor to our west, we have incorporated design elements to provide additional privacy to our neighbor. This includes a 6-foot concrete privacy wall, which is the highest allowed by city code, as well as higher hedging and landscaping that will create a green wall effect to prevent against any visual impacts to that neighbor. As set forth in staff's favorable recommendation, the building has also been placed towards the front of the intersection, creating corner visibility from both streets and maintaining parking to the rear to improve the street level experience. It also serves to provide the abutting neighbor with a setback of over 10 feet. Ultimately, the applicant is proposing to redevelop the property with 26 multifamily units and 488 square feet of ground floor retail. Once again, taking into account the as-built environment and our neighbors' concerns, the neighborhood business district allows for a maximum height of up to 9 stories. Yet our proposal is comparatively modest and completely in line with the surrounding neighborhood at a height of 3 stories. Each residential unit will have at least 1 parking space. Commercial retail will have 4 spaces, it's 488 square feet. This is not meant to be a destination, but rather a serving use for those residents and the nearby community. So walkability is key. And we will also be providing on-street parking availability as well. These are all 1-bedroom units. This project has been a true collaborative effort with city staff as we have incorporated a number of their recommendations and integrated a multitude of the MBD goals, including, aside from what was stated, enhanced landscaping along East 11th Street and East First Avenue, as well as the provision of amenities and recreational areas such as a dog park, domino plaza, art pieces, and an improved corner detail with an elegant art mural. Next slide, please. In connection with neighbor concerns related to traffic, the project will actually serve to reduce traffic congestion and traffic circulation on East 11th Street, as the existing curb cuts fronting on the street will be eliminated and ingress and egress will be provided exclusively at East First Ave. This is East 11th Street, which was referenced as a beautifully landscaped street. That is the current condition of the building with the curb cuts. The removal of these curb cuts would also lead to the creation of 4 new on-street parking spaces along East 11th Street. These are not private to our project and can be utilized by the community at large, with a total of 6 overall new on-street parking spaces created as part of this development. The project is also centrally located within close proximity to a number of key bus stops along East First Ave and Palm Avenue, thus promoting transit ridership and pedestrianism. Now, as part of this process, we have truly tried to be respectful of neighbor concerns and objective issues, whether they be privacy, traffic, or height. We've worked to address these elements as best as possible. However, one element which we will never be able to address is the sentiment that I just don't want it in my neighborhood, which ultimately is subjective and based on the property's location, counter to the city's planning vision. This is not the first multifamily building in this neighborhood. It will be the 9th in this neighborhood. Next slide, please. Now, this project is consistent with the city's goals, objectives, and policies of the city's comprehensive plan and those of the neighborhood business district, which stresses the creation of mixed-use projects that provide and encourage pedestrian access and regular use, particularly during a supply and affordability crisis. These are not some standardized set of regulations made in the air, but rather standards enacted by the will of the city council as a vision for the future of the city. Next slide, please. Illustrated here are some concepts of the proposed building massing, the incorporation of elegant modern architectural elements and high-end materials. Next slide, please. Next slide. And as referenced, the corner detail of the project will be improved with an art mural in line with many of those provided by the applicant at some of their other projects throughout the city. These have served as a truly distinctive and unique feature for both the project and the city as a whole. Next slide. Ultimately, this project will encompass the exceptional quality that you've come to expect from the prestige companies, a prominent homegrown developer, which has longstanding roots in providing truly essential housing for the city's residents and its working class. Next slide. And which is more, this project will serve to improve and beautify this key corridor of the city, is modest and not out of scale with the character of the neighborhood, and will ultimately be developed with a program that is completely in line with the trend of development. All the while, improving resident access to reasonable quality housing options. Particularly in this environment of affordability challenges, these units are within workforce housing rates and on average 15 to 20% below the pricing of newer projects throughout the city. The project will also serve to preserve and enhance property values and increase the city's ad valorem tax base. Now, I know that there are some neighbors in attendance tonight here at first reading, and we look forward to engaging them as we have done since the Planning and Zoning Board to try to discuss their valid concerns between now and second reading. Now, the city has always prided itself on the rule of law and the free market. In fact, there's a lawyer on this dais who holds these values as a profession. One key thing that separates this city from other places in the world, such as Cuba, where these elements are not respected. This property was freely marketed, negotiated, and we now have a binding contract. It sat on the market for 180 days. These pastors, any other church had the opportunity to purchase this property. We freely marketed, we negotiated the property, and now we have a binding contract with the church itself. So to prefer or pinpoint one user or another when there's a legally binding contract, it's a dangerous precedent. It's a dangerous precedent for the city. I'm sure the city attorney can attest to it, and opens one to liability, particularly those who are tortiously interfering with a freely negotiated contract for their own benefit or vested interests. This is a land use and zoning forum. It's not a venue for, nor should it ever be the policy of the city to favor one potential purchaser over another. And that is truly a slippery slope, which is not in line with the lawful and democratic principles that this city prides itself on. With that said, we're here to answer any questions, and we respectfully request approval of this item. Thank you.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Alex, I get it. I get the push and pull on it. My just a little bit of background because I didn't see the P and Z meetings. So you didn't engage with this pastor, right? You purchased it from a totally different church, right? Like a totally different clergy and all that.
The two pastors that came to speak today have no affiliation to this church.
Understood. So what was the conversation like with the pastor that was selling it? That church had died off and they just wanted to sell the property. Did they buy a different property and move the church somewhere else? I mean,
yeah, there's a sign on the property that says they're in Hialeah Gardens now.
Okay.
Again, they had marketed this for 180 days on the market. And our client was willing to step up and purchase this property.
I spoke to Deborah about it and she explained to me because I was concerned and I was wondering, and it's been empty for quite some time. The building is there, the church building, but it's not running as a church.
Okay. So, I mean, look, to the extent you know, because you've been in these meetings, what's the uproar on this?
Again, the objective elements that we've discussed.
Objectively,
and
right.
privacy, and really the privacy to our abutting neighbor to the west, traffic and circulation. There was
But, I
one
mean,
today.
I'm looking at the map. It's multifamily, like in front. It's like
That's correct.
it's a supermarket apparently. I don't know. At
That's
least they put it
correct.
on Google, it's a supermarket.
Today, I heard for the first time construction debris, which again, this is a homegrown developer that's developed thousands of units. So I can assure the city that construction debris will be dealt with as it should.
It's the same 3-story product.
That is correct. There's one just to the south.
Right. I'm confused. I don't know why. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, through the chair.
You're recognized.
So thank you for the presentation, Mr. Arias. You did those, you kept on saying the city has a vision and this is a plan. However, there is a vision, right? There is a vision that we have to cater. There is an influx of residents. I understand that. But at the cost of what? So changing this land use for me personally, I don't know about my colleagues, is difficult because of what sits there. And because of the conversations I've had in the community with pastors, there is a need, and I'm sure Deborah knows this, for pastors to find locations where to house their congregation, their services, because there's limited places that meet the parking requirement. And they've been shopping around, they've been looking for places. I know plenty of them that have reached out to me through these last couple of months that weren't able to get a hold of that property owner, or I think already engaged in a contract and had a contingent deal, which is illegal then to have a conversation with the party involved, right? I personally do not feel that in exchange to this, putting a multifamily home in this location is the appropriate thing, knowing the need that we have with these religious organizations. I believe that there should be another location that we choose. There's been high and significant interest to house this and to continue spiritual nourishment and worship in our community. And I apologize. I think it's a beautiful product. I just don't agree with the location. I would like to remain the land use as is and not change it. So
Understood.
unfortunately, I can't support the item. Yes.
I will stress again, it was on the market for 180 days. They had the opportunity to vet it, provide an offer. Aside from that, I would ask you to ask your professional staff with respect to the impacts of a truly thriving church at this site and whether the parking as it is today would be able to handle that with the curb cuts as they stand. Because it's very likely that that use would be much more intense than this proposed use.
Through the chair, I would like to speak on this item. I am looking at right now a declaration of restrictions and unity of title. This is 1098 East First Avenue, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, there's a declaration of restrictions where this was going to be used only as a religious institution. And it's, according to this, it says the undersigned agrees that it will not convey, transfer, assign, or otherwise dispose of the property or any interest therein without requiring the successor in right, title, or interest to abide by the terms and conditions of this unity of title. Now, I don't know, I'm not an expert on the subject. I don't know how binding this is, but what good is a restrictive covenant if it could just easily be reversed? And what peace of mind does that give the residents when we have, when we grant variances or we place these conditions, we place restrictive covenants with other cases, we tell residents no, but this property will not be able to to be used for anything else other than what we're approving at this time, this sets a very bad precedent.
I think any legally binding document always has modification language to it. And as things happen organically, uses usually tend to change. So where it was once a thriving church, clearly it's no longer, in which they left to the city of Hialeah Gardens. So modifying, adapting isn't necessarily a step backwards. It really depends on how you look at it, but every legally binding document does have that modification language, which is why it was included as one of the requests today. Now, what that requires is that this council vote on the item to release it. That property owner cannot just release it at will, which that would be a dangerous precedent to have. But it forces us to come before this council in order to get that document, which you are the elected officials of the city. So that is the assurance that those documents provide.
Thank you.
Anyone else? It's the pleasure of the council.
Motion. Let's move it on to the second one, I say.
You're motioning to approve? We have a motion by Councilmember Zogby. We have a second by Councilmember Calvo.
Ms. Pacheco?
No.
Ms. Pacheco?
No.
Ms. Perez?
No.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Motion fails at the pleasure of the council.
Does the city council need to take an action now since it was a tie?
Yeah, motion to table to the next meeting so we can have a full council.
Right, that, right, because that is not an action. So that was what I was gonna say next. So to take this positive action is either an approval or a denial. So, but another one procedurally to have the full council is a motion to table until the next meeting, which would moot the two related issues that really cannot go forward without this one going forward. So it would be tabling this and the other two PZ items that relate to this, which will all be announced to another date and time
Okay,
certain.
so we have a motion to table by Councilmember Calvo to the next meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until June 11th, 2024.
Okay, I'm gonna
Thank you.
skip over to PZ 11 and PZ 12 so that we can table lots.
Thank you very much.
So
That's
PZ
correct.
Yes. So PZ 11.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the existing declaration of restrictive covenants and unity of title recorded in official public records of Miami-Dade County in order to release a restriction on the property which limits the utilization of the property as a religious institution. Property located at 1098 East First Avenue, Hialeah zoned R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
If I may,
Yes, you're recognized.
I think they're waiting a clarification of what happened. They seem a little bit confused. If you
Okay.
would like to offer that.
I'm gonna say it in English and then in Spanish. We're tabling the items regarding the church until June 11th to the next meeting so that we have a full council. Vamos a dejar lo que son en referencia a la iglesia. Lo estamos poniendo, lo estamos pasando a junio 11 a tener un consejo que esté todo el mundo presente. Así que hoy no se está tomando acción ninguna. No se va a pasar, lo que se está haciendo es moviéndose para 2 semanas, en 2 semanas. Okay. Okay, so do we have a motion to table?
A motion, do we have a motion? I'll
No, we
second.
don't. So we have
Okay,
a
motion.
motion to table by Councilmember Zogby, so June 11th. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second by Councilmember Perez.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until June 2024.
PZ 12.
Same thing.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R2 1 and 2 Family Residential District to R3 1 Multiple Family District and granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay in relation to a proposed mixed-use development, including 27 residential units and 488 square feet of commercial space, granting a variance permit to allow a residential use on the ground floor, where residential use is only allowed above the ground floor, allow 27 units with areas ranging from 488 square feet to 626 square feet, where only 10% of residential units may have a minimum area of 600 square feet. Waive the building mass and building frontage development standards to allow street frontage of 135 feet facing East First Avenue and 150 feet facing East 11th Street, where minimum street frontage of 200 feet is required. Allow a rear setback of 10 feet where 15 feet are required. Allow 30 parking spaces where 61 parking spaces are required. And allow 28.5% pervious area where 30% pervious area is required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.2, 98-1630.8, 98-1630.3, subsection E2, 98-2189, subsection 16A, and 98-2056, subsection B2. Properties located at 1098 East First Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, so do we have a motion to table?
Motion.
We have a motion to table by Councilmember Calvo until June 11th. We have a second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is away. Motion carries. The item is tabled until June 2024.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Moving on to planning and zoning. PZ 1.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District to P Parking. Property located at 1171 West 69th Place, Hialeah, zoned R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Good evening, Cesar Mester with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. If possible, I'd like to join this one with PZ2.
Okay.
They're companion files.
Yeah, we can, but we don't have to read it now, right?
No. I mean, you're gonna combine your presentation, but we'll still
Yeah.
have to read the item into the
Right.
record.
And with me is Manny Rios, the architect, is also on this matter. Yeah. By way of background, this is the one that we spoke about last week and passed on first reading. It's the properties located directly behind the shopping center off of 12th Avenue and 69th Place, in between 69th and 70th Place. PZ1 is an item wherein we are rezoning the property to parking lot to P to service the two lots that are located directly behind the shopping center, which we're asking for a rezoning to allow the school to function on those two properties. If you see the slide up there now shows you the property that is part of the school. The next slide. This is the other property located directly south. Of course, there'll be a unity of title if this passes, joining all three properties. And the next slide. This is the one that's PZ1. This is the property that will be hopefully converted into a parking lot to be able to service the school located on the two lots to the west. It will not only be the parking lot, but it'll also be the circulation for the pickup and drop off of the school. You have a recommendation from staff for approval. You have a recommendation from P and Z, unanimous for approval as well. I'll show you what they look like now. Next slide. These are your zoning categories. Next one. This is one of the properties looking directly south. Next one. As you see, this is one of the properties located directly behind the shopping center. We ask you to keep in mind that these two properties will serve as a buffer between the commercial property and the residential to the east. Next slide shows the other property that we're using as a parking lot. And next slide shows you the next one. All three properties together. And as you can see, they're located directly east of the shopping center. And again, this is a school for 97 students. It's K through 8. It's been operating since at least 1985. It's already zoned R33. Our client bought the other property in 1989. So we're asking for a CUP maximum of 97 students. We want to convert 1171 to the parking lot. And there are certain conditions which staff recommended, which would be the change of use within 90 days, the unity of title for the 3 lots. And that is our presentation. I'll see if the architect has anything further that they would like to add or any questions from anyone. We'd be happy to answer. We respectfully request.
Through the chair, if I may.
You recognize.
Hi, Mr. Mayfair, hello. You said that they purchased the property in 1989, this third house that they want,
The school.
oh, the building behind, right?
Correct.
Okay, and when did they purchase this new home, the greenhouse?
About
1171?
About a year and a half.
About a year ago.
About a year ago,
Yes.
okay.
We've been trying to get the conditional use permit for the schools. This is one that's been around for years. But due to the lack of parking and the lack of the circulation for the pickup and the drop off, we've been trying to come up with ways to make it work.
Right.
Actually, it was Manny's idea to purchase the property next door, and he made the plan so that it would work together with the school. And that's how staff and your planning and zoning board recommended approval.
The home isn't demolished, right?
It is not demolished.
Okay, do we have, I know that, I believe we tabled the item, right, last meeting?
It was
So come-
voted on so that it can make it to second reading.
Mhm.
My understanding is that I know staff met with some of the council, to discuss it. And here we are.
But we had discussed maybe adding some tandem parking and having that as an option.
No, not on this property.
That, the only way, when we proffer to all the owners of schools that were working, that we were going to work with them. But to work with them is not to approve anything that comes here. It means to make it better. Tandem parking is not allowed by code. The fire department doesn't like tandem parking because if one car catches fire, you cannot reach to that car. Dropping off the kids from a car that is tandem park or backing out into the street is very unsafe. So the only possibility for this school to remain as a 98 student school is to have that parking lot. So all the pick up and drop off will be done inside that parking lot, and there will be enough parking for all the teachers that they have there, the visitors. That's the only way to bring order to something that happens spontaneously over the years. There's no other way.
When did they have that capacity increase? When they bought the second property?
They bought the first property. The first property was a school. Then they bought the other one. They gave them the license. They had the license for both schools. They never came and did the change of use. So they got into this situation that they are non-conforming. So the only way to bring everything to be conforming is to have that parking lot.
Okay, right. Anybody else?
Anyone else?
Motion.
This item is on second reading, so it's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone?
Motion.
No one online?
No, ma'am, no one online.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Zogby and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, PZ two.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K through 8 grade school with a maximum capacity of 97 students, granting a variance permit to allow an interior west side setback of 9.5 feet where 10 feet are required, and allow 20 parking spaces where 26 parking spaces are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-1606, subsection F3, and 98-2189, subsection 9. Property located at 1179 West 69th Place and 1174 West 70 Place, Hialeah zoned R33 multiple family district and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay,
Motion.
PZ one was the parking lot. This is the school portion
Second.
of the properties.
okay, we have a motion and a second, but it's open for, it's on second reading, so it's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone? Anyone online?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and a second by Councilmember Zogby. Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to PZ three.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K through 5th grade elementary school with a shopping plaza with a maximum capacity of 112 students in conjunction with an 81 children daycare, and granting a variance permit to allow 409 parking spaces where 418 parking spaces are required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 9, property located at 4056 through 4058 West 12th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading. And
Good evening,
Go
Cesar
ahead.
Mestre, offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. This is on second reading. The owners of the school are here with me today. This is the Chico's Shopping Center School. We asked you to table it last time so that we had an opportunity to meet, to talk to the owner. And we're ready to proceed today. The last time there was some mention regarding on-street parking and the possibility of implementing that here on the site. So we would request that we be allowed to have to develop on-street parking on the west side of the school. Other than that, I believe that we're here to answer any questions. If there's any questions, I do have the presentation which I made last time. But I'd be happy to go through it if you'd like me to.
I'm a motion.
Motion.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Calvo and a second by Councilwoman Perez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, PZ four.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 one family district to R2 1 and 2 family residential district, granting a variance permit to allow the construction of a new detached duplex on a substandard lot having a lot width of 60 feet where 75 feet are required. Allow a total area of 7,021.17 square feet where 7,500 square feet are required. And allow a rear setback of 13 feet where 25 feet is the minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-544 and 98-547. Property located at 337 through 339 Hialeah Street, Hialeah zoned R1, one family district and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading, so it's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone?
Motion.
Like, no one online.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Zogby.
Do we open it up to the public?
Yeah, I opened it.
Yeah.
We had a second by Perez. Councilwoman Perez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
PZ 5.
Second reading of
Thank
public
you.
hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R2, 1 and 2 family district to B1, highly restricted retail district, granting a variance permit to allow 6.8% pervious area, where 18% pervious area is the minimum required, in contrast to the tree and lawn requirements by zoning classification specified in the City of Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022. Property located at 374 East 12th Street, 398 East 12th Street, and 400 East 12th Street, Hialeah zoned R2, 1 and 2 family district and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading, so it's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone in the chamber, anyone online?
No one online?
This is mine, Cesar Mestre, office at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. This is the property that belongs to San Lázaro, El Rincón de San Lázaro. It's the house next door that is zoned R2, already has major institutions, land use, and we're just trying to make it part of the church to serve as the priest's residence and the bookstore. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I respectfully request.
We have a motion by Councilmember Zogby and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
PZ 6.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow a gas station canopy sign of 24.76 square feet, where 9 square feet is the maximum allowed. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 74-4, property located at 336 and 398 West 9th Street, Hialeah, Zone C3, extended liberal commercial district and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone in the chambers or anyone online?
No, ma'am.
Just a quick clarification.
Yes.
The gas station canopy sign, is that where they put the prices or you're talking about the roof?
It's the roof where they put the name, where they put the name of the gas station, like Shell, Exxon.
And that can only be 9 square feet under a code.
Yeah, because it's an old regulation when the gas stations were smaller. This is a gas station that they are really, we could, yes.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Zogby. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
PZ 7.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K through 5th grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 38 students in conjunction with a 52 children daycare. Property located at 4100 West 12th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone in the chambers or anyone online?
No, ma'am.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Through the chair.
You recognize?
Yeah, just a clarification, because I see here there's a denial, a recommendation by the planner to deny the parking variance request, part of the application. Is that still a recommendation?
Yeah, because if the applicant is the daycare owner.
Hmm.
So we are benefiting the owner of
Yeah,
the shopping center that has many things to do, some improvements in that shopping center. So it's better to take out the parking variance from the picture, and then when he needs, he comes and he can address the
But if-
whatever.
But from my understanding, if we remove the parking variance section, will they be able to continue to operate?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so why are they requesting it?
Well, they are requesting because we look at the shopping center as a big picture, so it's non-conforming with the parking, but it's not their fault. It's the fault in general of the shopping center
So
owner.
unless the shopping center owner wants to gratuitously come, there's nothing that's gonna force them to come before us and ask for the variance.
Well, there could be violations there. They could be cited for violations. It's not that because of this, we're going to go after them, but things happen over time.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. So motion to approve with adopting the planner's recommendation of denial of the parking variance request.
Second. Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Calvo and a second by Councilmember Perez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved, subject to the planner's recommendation.
Okay, PZ 8.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K through sixth grade school with a maximum capacity of 80 students in conjunction with a 76 children daycare. Property located at 470 West 49th Street, Unit B, Hialeah Zone C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described as attached in Exhibit A, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone online or in the chambers?
No, ma'am.
Motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and a second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
PZ 9.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving a final plat of Bahia's Village subdivision, accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants. Property located at 2657 West Second Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is also on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Do we have anyone in the chambers or anyone online?
No, ma'am.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Rodriguez. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, PZ 10 is postponed, tabled.
PC 10 is tabled.
Yes, PZ 11 is also, and PZ 12. So moving on to PZ 13.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow an LED pylon sign outside of the geographic area where LED signs are allowed and allow a distance of 120 feet from residential properties where LED signs shall be placed at a distance no less than a 300-foot radius from residential properties. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Land Development Code Sections 7-12 subsection B and 7-12 subsection E. Property located at 4380 West 12th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C3, Extended Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for the public, but it is open for the council. Anyone?
Chair?
Yes, you're recognized.
This is the item that I was speaking about earlier. It's received a tremendous amount of controversy in our community. This is fortunately a business that deals with the Cuban government. And, you know, I respectfully ask my colleagues to deny this application. We shouldn't be giving concessions. We shouldn't be allowing these LED signs. That's putting aside all the issues that this property has had with our city's code enforcement department. There's several issues that they're trying to legalize, parking lot areas with improper drainage and other issues. Okay. So to the extent that we look at this application as it comes before us, you know, I just don't agree with having an LED sign in this community. I don't think it fits the community whatsoever on West 12th Avenue between I think it's 44th, 44th and 42nd. It's on your left-hand side, on the west-hand side of the road. And respectfully ask my colleagues to vote against. Thank you.
Can I say something? When we receive an application, every applicant has the right to apply. And we don't look at the nature of the business. We look at the code to see if something is allowed or is not allowed. This is a commercial activity in a lot that is non-commercial. They came, they asked for a variance. We look at the whole lot, and yes, there were certain violations, like they were using a part that used to be green space as parking and was not developed as parking. So we looked at everything. They provided a site plan. And with that site plan that is part of the application, they are proffering that they will take care of all those things. And what they are asking is to have the LED sign on an area where it's not allowed because it's only allowed in certain geographic areas. So we looked at the sign. The sign is on West 12th Avenue. That is a commercial avenue. And the way that the sign is facing is not disturbing any residential property. That's how we look at the property, regardless of the nature of the business.
Okay. It's a pleasure of the
So,
council.
I'm sorry, really quick. So, Ms. George, there currently is an LED and that one's gonna be changed, or they're legalizing the one that exists?
There is currently an LED that was there for many years without permits, and now they are going to legalize it and improve it.
No modifications to the one that's already there? The
No.
sign that's already there?
No. Not on the sign itself, but you have the site plan where they are modifying a little bit the sign. You can see it here. I'm sure you have a drawing.
Yeah.
And also you have the site plan where they show all the improvements that they are proposing. So they had a violation, and well, they are coming before us to correct it.
Anyone else? But in the backup, I don't know how it differs to what it currently exists, because for me, it looks like it's the same exact sign. I can't tell what the change would be.
Well, I don't know if the sign has the skirt.
On the bottom, right?
Yes. The one that you're seeing online, it has the skirt. So when
It has a
you say
skirt?
It's the same sign. Es el mismo signo. Sí, claro. Es el mismo it's the same one that they are legalizing. They are adding the trees that they don't have, that have been removed over time.
Isn't there apartments right across the street from here?
Yes, but
Blanco Hill, right?
the sign is not facing the apartments, it's on the other direction.
I would like to ask a question, if I may.
I think, hold on, because I'm still on the item, I apologize.
It's true that in the past you denied other LED signs because you want to preserve them in the geographic areas where they are. You don't want them to proliferate all around. That is a
But
valid,
next door, we have a new development that's coming right next to this property. It's coming soon. Is that a Gano that's coming soon? Or an Ocean Bank?
yes, it's a medical center, yes, south of this.
Okay.
Yes, it's true that if you grant this one and then they come and ask for LED, you will have a present and you will have to grant it.
So currently, how many of these LED screens do we have approved in the city?
Not many. I remember one for a church, one that for Mylander Park, not many. Most of the ones that we approve are on the designated.
Cohia has
order.
one, right? Cohia
Cohia
has
has
one,
one, they came for a variance.
right? So
On West 12th Avenue, there's none. This will be the first.
So it just depends what precedents we want to start. If we want to start allowing these signs and knowing how many shopping centers and how many businesses are here, that this could turn into major light pollution at night. I don't know. I don't know if I would be in support of now having this transition now for signage in the city, to be honest with you. I don't know if any other colleagues would like to discuss the item. Yeah, I'm done, yeah.
When was the sign installed?
I would say like 6 years ago.
Because I'm looking here, on Google Images from 2019 and it wasn't there. I don't know if in 2020 it was there, but apparently the previous business did not have that sign.
Yeah, because before there was a car dealer, so
Yeah.
when they came into business, as soon as they came, they put the sign. I know because I have seen it for years and knew it was illegal. Finally, they got a code violation and that's why they came to correct it.
It's the pleasure of the council.
I second the motion of denial based on, we don't need it on 12th Avenue. It wasn't allowed and I don't think it's a good idea to place that on any business on 12th Avenue. It would set a bad precedent. So motion to deny on that basis.
So we have a motion to deny from Councilmember Zogby and a second by Councilmember Perez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
No. I mean, to deny?
Yes.
Yes, to deny, yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
so your vote is yes.
My vote is to deny, yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
motion carries. The item is denied.
Okay, moving on to PZ 14.
Wait.
I didn't hear you.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K-1 grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 44 students in conjunction with a 75 children daycare, a variance permit to allow 18 parking spaces where 48 parking spaces are required, and allow 7 of those parking spaces to back out into the street where back out parking is not allowed. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-2189, subsection 9, and section 9-3, subsection 3, titled Traffic Flow and Vehicle Parking of the Land Development Code, property located at 499 East 21st Street, Hialeah, zoned R3, multiple family district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
This item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussions. Go ahead.
Cedar Magistrate offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. I'd have a small presentation.
Okay.
I'd like to. This building was a church at one point, located on 21st Street and the corner of East Fifth Avenue, just south of the Metro Rail lines. See the picture there? It's the corner. Fifth Avenue is actually a dead end right there, does not go north past the side of this property. This was a church at one point, and it has been a daycare according to staff since at least 1994, according to my client, since about 1973. This is one of those that has been a daycare forever, added school grades, was unaware that they had to come up before you for a conditional use permit. So here they are. This one, again, is one of those that's been around for a few years because there was an issue with the traffic circulation and the parking lot. The parking wasn't enough. They were using the land located to the east to park. So we had to reconvene and come up with an alternative, which I'll show you on slide number 13. So what we're doing is we're coming in off of East Fifth Avenue, going on the north side of the property between the property line and the Metro Rail station, going through our parking lot and exiting on 21st Street. So staff was satisfied with that, recommended approval. Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval. The owner, Jorge Machado, is with me here today. He's in the back to answer any questions. It's a standalone building. It's not a commercial shopping center. So I would respectfully ask you for a approval on this matter and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
This is the old La Scala, I'm sorry.
La Scala, correct.
A motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Zogby and a second by Councilmember Calvo. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
She's away.
she's away. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11, 2024.
Okay, PZ 15.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay in relation to a proposed mixed-use development, including 21 residential units and approximately 2,050 square feet of commercial space, granting a variance permit to allow 3 residential units with an area of 593 square feet, where only 10% of residential units may have a minimum area of 600 square feet. Waive the building mass and building frontage development standards to allow a site area of 13,500 square feet with a street frontage of 135 feet, where a minimum site area of 20,000 square feet and minimum street frontage of 200 feet is required, and allow 10.71% pervious area where 30% pervious area is required, in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-1630.2, 98-1630.8, and 98-2056, subsection B2. Properties located at 805 Palm Avenue and 22 East 8th Street, Hialeah, Zone CR, Commercial Residential District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's on first reading. It's not open for the public.
Cesar Mestre with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. With me today is the architect. He's via Zoom, Daniel Alonso. Is there waving, saying hello? There's a small presentation on this one. Okay, this is 2 lots that are located directly on Palm Avenue and 8th Street. It's the corner lot and the one next to it. They're zone commercial right now. There's a small bodega, I would say, there, and some other truck parking. And I know it's been subject to code violations for a number of years. Go to slide number 4. This is what it looks like facing north on the property. You can see there's a little stairs on the left side. That's for the second floor. And the right side has a business there that's kind of shuttered. And I know when I went by there, that roadway is full of trucks right now. The next slide shows you the actual building on the corner. You see the two-story building facing north on Palm Avenue and 8th Street. Next slide is the view from Palm Avenue facing east. As you can see, it's a small store, two-story building with parking in the back. What we are proposing is the next slide, is a expansion of the NBD. We're requesting approval for that, and it will be a multifamily mixed-use development. It's going to have a total of 21 units. 3 of them are 1 bedrooms, 18 of them are 2 bedrooms. There is 59 stalls for parking. There's a commercial area on the bottom, which is 2,050 square feet. There is 3 floors of parking, and floors 6 through 8 are apartments. The apartments range from 584 square feet to about 1,200 square feet. At this time, I would like the architect to tell you a little bit more about the design. Daniel, you there?
He is there.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Is there a way I could share my screen as well, have the presentation?
You can go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, it's saying, oh, here we go. Okay, excellent. So, well, good evening, everybody. Danny Alonso from OE Architecture, offices at 1235 Coral Way. The presentation I saw there, I think, has some renderings that are a little bit older, and I believe that there's a nice improvement to the project's look and feel. Okay, can you all see my screen there?
Yes.
Yes,
Excellent.
we see it.
So just to add a little bit more reference to what Cesar was already describing to you, here you have the site on the corner of Palm and 8th, an aerial view to supplement what he had already shown you. Here it is on its axis, and here's the proposed development within its context. Like Cesar mentioned, 8 stories. This is the project breakdown, 21 units. We have 311 apartments, 1822 apartments, and about 2,000 square feet of retail spaces on the ground floor. We are meeting minimum parking requirements for this development as well, all inside of the property lines. This is a view of the finished products from the street view. You can see that we're celebrating the corner on Palm and 8th, which is one of the requirements or one of the requests really from zoning staff, so that the building does address its context appropriately. And you can see the parking is screened and the corner element is clad in premium materials. And those are a few more views of what the project will look like. And that concludes my portion, unless you have any questions directly for me or, you know, in reference to the design or architecture.
Through the chair.
You recognize? Fix the microphone. Luis.
Through the chair, Deborah, question for you. Down Palm, what's the tallest building we have here? In the area, tallest.
Well, you have the 5-story building across the street from the courthouse.
So this will be the tallest.
Yeah, and then you approved one for Conviva, I think it was on Palm Avenue that didn't build yet, that there is a parking lot. This is a very nice building. So nice that it's difficult to think that this will come true. That's why we asked the attorney to talk with the applicant and to give us some assurances that he was really going to build this, because he's going to build a parking garage for only 21 units. So we didn't understand how the economy would work. And we see here people with many dreams and then they never come true, and we give them the entitlements. So he talked to them, and he will explain that he has the financial capability to do this project that is really very nice and will set a nice precedent for the area.
Gotcha.
This is across the street from La Colonia.
Yeah,
that
well, my
corner.
question, but my, guys, I'm just asking a question, but what's, I mean, I see it, but why are we honored to have this here? I guess is what you're saying.
Why,
But why, what's different about this, the design, what were you asking differently? As far as, you said we're glad that he's coming. What's different?
Well,
about
because
this?
they comply with the parking. All the parking is inside the property and is green. They have a corner accent. It's a nicely designed building. It's everything that you could ask for. It has the mixed use. It has everything.
Gotcha. I'm sorry?
Through the chair,
Recognized.
this is a beautiful project. I motion to approve this. Wow.
We have a motion by Councilmember Zogby. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Zogby,
Yes,
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
PZ 16.
Councilwoman Perez, if I can please record your vote for item PZ 14.
The keep the one school, right? Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, say it again. What you want me to do? Oh,
Yeah.
First reading of proposed ordinance approving a final plat of 711 Hialeah Okeechobee and 18th, accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants, property located at 333 West Okeechobee Road, Hialeah, Florida, legally described in Exhibit A. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussion, but it is for the council. Anyone?
motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Zogby and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez,
yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes,
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Ms.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for June 11th, 2024.
Hey, meeting adjourned. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Next council meeting Tuesday, June 11th at 5:30 PM.